We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Imagine what would have happened if we hadn't attracted the magic we had back when we couldn't fathom. Life is a fantasy, not with the vanity, not the way it was back then. So I grab my pen and write it down like a scripture. Mr. Mystic, making hits for the misfits. The show where you don't know what you don't know when it's on again with Sean and Jonathan. Yeah.
Welcome to Meta Mystics, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And today we are getting back to the tarot book here. This book has been so important and helping us, just with our roundabout understanding of what each of the tarot mean esoterically, and magically, and just being able to apply it to all of the symbolism of the world, because the symbols that are in these cards are the same symbols that have been used throughout the centuries. The Egyptians, most of this stuff, it actually comes from a lot of Egyptian ideology and whatnot. And so it's rooted in just ancient symbolism. And that's why we're so fascinated about it. Yeah, we want to learn, a little bit more about the tarot, but I mean, this is good across the board with all symbolism, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And of the mind itself, the subconscious. And the more that you know about these symbols, then the more that you would know about yourself. And so, yeah, dude, that's what I'm here for, dude.
Hey, but it's just rooted within the human subconscious. It says that the mind speaks to us in symbols, that the universe or God or your angels or your ancestors or whoever you are speaking to on the other side or within, it is all throughout symbolism. That's why it's very rare that somebody, usually whenever you get like a quote unquote download, maybe you saw a symbol that unlocked that door to allow that message to come in, and usually these are keys. These are subconscious keys. And that's why it is so fascinating to really dive into. I mean, even the etymology of certain root words and stuff like that. And especially this book being written back in 1980, and it was by Rachel Pollack. Dude, she was deep into a lot of this stuff. And so if this is anybody's first time listening to one of these tarot episodes, this is actually from the book called The 78 Degrees of Wisdom, written by Rachel Pollack. And it's been amazing so far. We've gone through the first 13 cards of the tarot deck. Well, the first 12 of the major arcana, and then the full. Right. And now we are on card number 13, and very strange timing. I think that it's perfect timing, but very strange timing. We just had
it's always perfect.
The tribute show for Optimistic Banks. May he rest in peace.
All right.
And this, the first card is actually the death card. Now, anybody that, and we're actually going to be going over a few cards here that are, this is the most misunderstood section of the entire tarot deck. The four cards that we're going to be reading today are Death, Temperance, the Devil, and the Tower card. Very misunderstood, and people think that there are bad cards in the tarot deck. There really isn't. It's just like no such thing as a bad trip, right? There's always something to learn. And so the message is the message. What makes it good or bad is how you perceive it and how you apply it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you look at the Devil card, and it just stands out from most of the other ones. I mean, it's all black, and of course, you got a picture of a devil, and so it just looks intimidating. It looks just inherently negative, But as we found out, that's not necessarily the case. It kind of just depends on what you're going through and how you can look at that and interpret it into what you're going through, and then move from there. Like, what is this card trying to show me? And so it doesn't necessarily mean that something bad is going to happen. It's just kind of highlighting something for you to look at, and then you can look at it and go, oh, okay, I can do this. And then, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Well, actually, I'll give you a very strange example. So somebody very close to me should have been divorced a long time ago. and they keep on putting it off. And yeah, look, I'm not one to judge. I mean, it's your life. You live it. You make your own decisions and stuff. But I feel like it was a decent idea to leave this person who, you know, there's a lot of evidence that points to all the good reasons why you should leave this person. But who are we to say, right? And so I decided to do a tarot card reading for them last year over the summer. And I got the tarot card of the devil, and it was the devil, but it was upside down, right? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And anybody that looks at the devil card, you'll see that in the devil card, right below, there's two people, and those two people are in shackles. Yep, they're in shackles right around their neck. I thought it was around their feet, but it's around their neck, which is even more interesting. So the shackles are right around their neck, and whenever it's turned upside down, it's said that the shackles loosen and the shackles will fall off. And so it's like you used to be under the control of the devil, but those shackles have loosened and you are now free to you know, go on, right?
Right.
And so I got that card and I showed it to them and they were like, oh, I'm not even shocked. I'm not even surprised, right? A year goes by. I go and do the same. I do another tarot reading. And I usually only do like a one card, you know, deal. I feel like it's more symbolic. It's a shorter, it's sweeter, and it's right to the point. And wouldn't you know it, it's the devil card again, except it's right side up.
Oh,
Had that window of opportunity. It was the right moment. And it's not to say that moment is completely gone. It's just that where they are in that moment in their life, they feel as if that window of opportunity is closed.
Right. Wow.
So
that's very interesting.
isn't
I've
that
heard
crazy?
of this, you know, cards that tend to follow you. You know what I mean? Like my wife, she'll pull the same 2 or 3 cards when she pulls for herself. Like more often times than not, she'll pull a
High
particular
Priestess.
card. Yeah, High Priestess, that's right. Yeah, I'm surprised you remember that. But yeah, dude, it's a trip. It's like there's definitely something to it, you know. I don't know exactly what it is, dude, but there's definitely something going on with that.
Yeah, certain cards stick with you, and whenever you pull them for whatever you're going, you know, have going on in your life, and then they come, you're like, ah, yes. It's just like it's almost like a good luck token, you know, like, all right, I'm finally back to being myself, and I get my card, and it's like, okay, this is confirmation that
I'm on
finally
the right
back.
track.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. I didn't even think about it like that. Like a synchronicity or something of that sort. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the way I
I'm
look
doing
at it.
okay. No, that's great. I like that. I was going to say, like, I wonder if there's any kind of correlation between cards that you tend to get for yourself frequently, like if it is the one that tells you you're on the right track. But I wonder if there's a correlation between like tarot cards and life paths or something along those lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or someone's
I
zodiac
believe
sign.
So, I mean, if you think about it, you know, your life path number, it could be any number 1 through 9 plus 11, 22, and 33, right?
Yeah.
And so there's obviously tarot cards 1 through 9, starting at the Magician and going on through 9. There's an 11th card, but there's not a 22nd card because the world ends at 21. You know, so I don't know. Maybe there is a card for that. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. You know.
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure that someone's got it figured out, though. You know.
Yes. So
What life path number are you? Do you remember?
I'm a 5.
You're a 5.
Yeah, and
Okay.
actually,
I
I
don't
found
remember what
out my son is also a 5. So I'm like, good luck, bud. Good luck.
Good luck. You're in for it, bud.
Yeah. So anyhow, I thought that we thought that it was quite interesting that the guest that we were supposed to have tonight, you know, had to reschedule, and then the card that we're looking at, the next one, just so happens to be death. So symbolic.
Which
we know
just,
that. No, I was just
just
going to
leads
say
us
that
to believe that this was meant to happen. This was how it was supposed to be. We were supposed to be doing this episode tonight.
Yeah. Ain't no coincidences out there, baby.
No.
So let's start with the death card, and here we go. Death strikes everyone, kings and commoners alike. This basic democracy of death was a favorite theme of medieval sermons. As an idea, it goes back at least as far as the Jewish practice of burying everyone in the same style, a white shroud, and a plain pine box, so that in death, rich become level with the poor. As we might guess, the great power of death leads us beyond democracy to both philosophical and psychological meanings. Death, like life, is eternal and always present. Individual forms are always dying while others come into existence. Without death to clear away the old, nothing new could find a place in the world. Many science fiction novels have shown the tyrannical society that would result if the world's leaders didn't die. The liberation of Spain after the death of Franco aptly demonstrated death's importance. Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Wow, yeah.
When we die, our flesh decays, leaving only the skeleton. That too will eventually pass, but it lasts long enough to at least hint at eternity. Therefore, the skeleton in the Golden Dawn card implies that eternity triumphs over the transitory. Now, the skeleton has an occult meaning as well. All over the world, the training for shamans includes methods of seeing one's own skeleton, using drugs, medication, even scraping the skin off of the face. By freeing the bone from the flesh, shamans connect themselves to eternity. Oh my God. I'm happy we don't have to do those type of initiations anymore. You know?
Oh, no shit.
I'd be like, I'm good. I'll just be an NPC. I'm good.
No shit. I'll just blue pill it. You know what I mean? I think it's very fascinating when you think about it, like when it comes to death. Like, no matter how much you have, no matter how much you succeeded, or maybe how shitty you were, or whatever, it doesn't even matter. Like, no matter what, everybody experiences that. You know what I mean? Like, I would say, oh, well, maybe you can say, you know, it depends on where you're gonna go after. But I feel like we all go to the same place regardless, and that's just my opinion. But yeah, no matter how much you have or money or whatever it is, it's like we all experience that, no matter what.
Yeah, well, and not only do we experience it, everybody that's ever known us also experiences our death in very different ways. You know,
Yeah.
and it impacts everybody. So it's like when one person dies, there are 1,000 deaths. Technically, if you really want to think about it like that, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think about how different one's reality is after losing somebody. You know what I mean? Like, you lose one person, your reality is still your reality, but it's not the same reality as before. It's very much different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you know, and just thinking about optimistic, I mean, obviously, like, it's going to be hard to not bring his name up for however long, right? Because his presence impacted us in such a grand way that there is no forgetting that, you know. And and I think that ultimately that's why it was his time. You know, he impacted as many lives as he almost like. It's almost like he reached his quota of impact on people's lives that he needed to impact in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. He definitely inspired so many people, dude. You know what I mean? Just one dude, man. Like, as great of a dude as he was, man, just one dude just changed so many people's lives. Like, for the rest of their lives.
Profoundly.
You know, not like this temporary thing, like, oh, it's cool while you're here, and then when you're not around, I'm someone different. Like, he changed people for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
You know, like, going forward. Like, that's a trip, dude.
I tell you what, it like, his death definitely fucked me up, but I will say that, you know, where we are in this show, like in this moment in time, especially throughout, you know, having him on a few times, I feel like almost like the best equipped to deal with death that I've ever been.
Yes, oh yes, definitely, dude. I can't imagine this happening a year ago. You know what I mean? Like, it would be so different. I mean, as bad as it is, it's going to be bad no matter what, I feel like. But yeah, our ability to withstand it and keep going. You know, because I think most people losing somebody, you know, a friend like him, a brother like him, you know, I feel like would need a couple weeks off. You know, and it's like, to be able to keep going, because we understand what that is. It's the most natural thing that can happen, that ever will happen to every single one of us. And and understanding where we would probably go after. It's like, oh, okay, it's all good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely makes you become a lot more aware of your own mortality.
No shit, dude. Just
You
the
know?
ultimate unknown. Just thinking about that and going, oh, he's not here anymore, but he's somewhere. And wherever that is, who knows, but we'll find out. You know what I mean? One day.
Just a fucking wizard in the astral realm now, you know?
Oh shit, dude.
So back to it. It says, because people fear death, they seek reason and value in it. The Christian religion teaches us that death liberates our souls from the sinful flesh so that we may join God in a greater life to come. Carl Jung has written of the value of believing in an afterlife. Without it, death may seem too monstrous to accept. Other people, dude, yeah,
I see
time.
that. Mm-hmm.
Other people have pointed out that death joins us to nature. The consciousness that isolates us from the world will be obliterated. Though the body will decay, that only means that it is feeding other creatures. Each death brings new life. Many people find the notion of themselves being eaten horrible to contemplate. The modern practice of embalming and painting corpses so they look alive, which is really strange.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm good with just like cremation.
It's like
you know what I mean. Plus, I
desecrating.
think it's the cheapest.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just whatever's on sale. You know what I mean. Just do that.
Dude,
I'm fine. I'm gone. I'm not there anymore. That's not even me. That's just the thing that housed me my whole life.
yeah.
You know?
Just somebody get a couple of shovels, dig a hole in the woods. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Lay me in there, dude.
Hopefully, we got property. Just bury me out there somewhere by a tree. You know what I mean? That way you know where I'm at. You don't got to worry about a tombstone. Just put me out there. That's cool. Man.
Which actually, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if a lot of people know this. But if you bury a loved one in your backyard, they legally can't repossess your house. It's
I didn't
yours
know that.
forever.
I didn't think you were going there. I thought there was going to be some sort of like tax rebate or something. Like, oh, it's a cemetery now. I thought I heard something like that before.
Yeah. It's like
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's so strange. So I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this?
I know, right?
So anyhow, it was saying the modern practice of embalming and painting corpses so they look alive and then burying them in sealed metal caskets derives from the desire to maintain the body's separateness from nature even in death. Damn.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, man. That is weird. And then people that struggle just to bury their family members, you know what I mean? They're out there doing a car wash. They're not prepared for it's so expensive, dude. Like I can't even afford to die right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am not prepared.
Straight up. Yeah. It says the fact is, since we will not know what happens to our bodies once the spirit has left the realm, what we really fear is the destruction of the personality. It is the ego that sees itself as separate from life because it is only a mask that the ego does not wish to die. It wishes to make itself superior to the universe. If we can accept death, we will be able to live more fully. The ego never wants to release energy. It tries to hoard it against the fear of death. As a result, new energy cannot get in. We see this very graphically in people's breathing when they panic. They try to gulp air in without letting any out, and as a result, become short of breath. Damn, that is so strange to even put it in those terms, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I imagine that. Like you go into the afterlife and like you're you, but you're very different. You know what I mean? Because you're not the ego anymore. You're not the anything that had a mask of any sort. I mean, we all kind of have something going on, that we kind of push down or whatever. You get up there and you're like, I'm only my true self. You know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting.
Like I don't even recognize you anymore.
How so many people just recognize themselves as their job or as this person's husband or wife or I am this person because of my accomplishments or whatever, right? Or for me, I like to disc golf. Like that's who I identify with. And it's like,
right.
Dude, whenever you're dead and you're just a spirit traveling,
you are none of those things.
You can't do any of that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like,
right.
So who are you if you're not those things?
Yeah. So even the thought of bugs eating your body, like you don't care. That is not you. That body's not you at all. Like you forget about that quick, I imagine.
Yeah, I almost wonder, like, even people that get buried, and you'll have loved ones go and visit the cemetery and stuff like that. Maybe leave some flowers and maybe
Hmm.
talk to them and pray for them or whatever, right? And it's
Hmm.
almost like, is that a tradition, or like, what do you think that is? Like, what did people literally believe that you can communicate with the person at where they were laid to rest, as
Well,
if
it's
they are
what
stuck
it's
there forever?
no, I don't think they honestly thought that. I think it's more so for themselves. Like that's the last place they saw you. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that they saw you in. And so it's just the most familiar thing and that's where they buried you. And so they just associate that with like, well, that's where you're at. You know what I mean? But I don't think they actually believe that. You know what I mean? Some people people will have like a shelf next to their front door and they'll have pictures of all of their family members, you know, and like that's kind of like they can talk to them right there. It's wherever they want, but like, but I can see why, you know what I mean? When someone would put flowers out, it's like, well, that's where we buried you, so that's kind of I don't know. It's just the familiar thing for them,
Yeah,
you know.
it's
I don't know.
ultimately for the person that is going to visit the dead,
Yes,
right? It's not
exactly,
for the dead at all. And so,
exactly.
and that's why, like, all right, yeah, I don't care. If you're not going to bury me in the backyard, then cremate me. And dude, sprinkle me into Lake Havasu. That's where I want, whenever anybody goes to Lake Havasu, come pay
Yeah,
a little homage. I'll be in the river
yeah,
floating down, and
yeah,
and
dude.
it'll lead into the Colorado, and you know what I mean? Like, that sounds
That'd be
awesome.
cool. We'll make it happen, dude.
Either
Assuming you go before me, you know what I mean. But I don't think that's happening.
I've been trying to tell my wife that I want a proper Viking send off.
Hmm.
Just send
Yeah.
me up to Maine. You can, and legally you can do it. Like,
Hmm.
you can have your body shipped up to Maine, and they'll send you out on a wooden boat, and somebody will take like a flaming arrow and
Yeah,
just shoot it at you, and then you'll
that would
burn
be
into
pretty
the
cool.
river. Like,
That would be pretty
that
cool,
sounds so
dude.
sick to me.
Actually, yeah, dude, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, dude. I'll be there. All right.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you'll be here
Unless
longer than me.
I don't think so. No, dude, not with your drive. You're gonna be here till like at least 1:10. I feel like.
That'd be
I don't
actually
know
pretty
how
sick.
you're gonna do it,
I used to
but
think
you're gonna
that
figure it out.
I used to think that living to 80 was kind of too long, But now I'm like, shit, I'll live to 120. Give me a buck 20. Give me that.
You get to 78 and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I hope I didn't just manifest that.
Right.
So moving on, it says in sex too, the ego hoards energy. It fights climax and surrender because at that moment the ego partly dissolves. In Elizabethan England, sexual intercourse was often called dying, and death in the tarot comes below the lovers. Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
okay.
Which is actually pretty interesting that I think it's in French, I want to say, but an orgasm in French means tiny death.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
that's weird.
you almost do feel like
Never
you're,
would have thought of it that way.
yeah, it almost feels like something. I mean, literally there is something escaping you, but metaphorically it almost feels like it too,
You definitely feel tired right after.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
and
So,
especially for a man, it's your baby juice. I don't know what else to
whatever you
call
want
it.
to call it.
Is like your life force.
Right.
Like that is the seed that creates life. And
Mhm.
so a little bit of that just escaped you. And so maybe that's
Yep.
the little bit of death.
Yep.
So, where were we? Because the ego resists the very idea of death and therefore keeps us from enjoying life, we must sometimes take extreme steps to get past it. The initiation rites always led up to a simulated death and rebirth. The initiate is led to believe that he or she is actually about to die. Everything is done to make this death as real as possible so that the ego will be tricked and, in fact, experience that dreaded dissolution. Then, when the initiate is quote unquote reborn, he or she experiences a new maturity and a new freedom of energy. In recent years, many people have experienced something like these rites through using psychedelic drugs. Shout out. You know what's funny about that? The white boy wizard texted me earlier and he goes, "Hey, Do you whenever I go and he was, you know, because he's gonna be doing his Ibogaine, and then he's gonna also be doing the DMT, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to trip at the same time? Maybe we can meet each other in the astral realm." And I was like, I'm actually
I'm
good. You know,
good.
it's funny because I said, well, I don't know if I told him this, but it's funny because me and you were just talking about that earlier, and I was like, I can say for sure 100% that I will not be tripping in 2026.
2026, that's what made it funny. You're like, no psychedelics in 2026.
No, I can't do
Like,
it.
I think I'm with you on that one, dude.
I
for
need to
sure.
sit with that for that long at least. You know, I
I think
need to forget about it. You know what I
yeah, no
mean? Like that's
shit,
where I
no
need to go.
shit. Every once in a while, and it's getting farther and few, you know, in between or whatever. But every once in a while, I'll still like think about it just for a second, you know, just that horrific like few moments, you know, and it's like, ooh, you know what I mean. And then, but it's not happening as often now. But I feel like we definitely had some sort of the rebirth type of thing. Like it was like we pushed it all the way to the edge to where death seemed like it was right there, dude. And then it was like, no, just kidding. You're like, oh, okay. Like I get to be here still. Like life is beautiful. You know what I mean? I
Which
get
is
to be
whi-
grateful for this now.
which is very symbolic of what she's talking about, you know, with these death ritual initiations, you know,
Exactly.
about how you bring on the new level of new maturity and new freedom of energy. And you're no longer hoarding all of that anymore because as far as you know, you just died,
Right.
you know, and that's all it takes. And you become reborn. That's what I think.
Second
you know,
chance, dude.
dude, whenever people talk, and people can fight me on this, in my opinion, 100%, that's what the original baptism was about. You cannot convince me otherwise. Because literally they say that whenever you're baptized, you're born again, right?
Right.
100% it was a death ritual. Not saying that the person actually died. Maybe they did for a split second. Or maybe
old you.
Or maybe they thought they were about to die, which caused almost like an NDE like you know, situation. But I'm sorry, dude, dunking somebody's head underwater, there's no way that's what they were doing all those thousands of years ago. There's no fucking way. You
absolutely.
cannot convince me of that. It's the same thing as like people eating crackers in the juice to emulate eating Jesus's flesh and blood, right? It's like, first of all, people don't even understand what the fuck that means. Not people, but like a lot of people don't, you know?
Like the Eucharist, right?
The Eucharist, right? And you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to go there, but I just think that it's interesting how people just don't even look up the history of it and not curious about the history of it, or they'll just believe somebody that they're like, well, I have faith in this person. This person's never got to be wrong, so I'm just going to believe that without ever doing their own research. And I'm like,
Right.
you know, there's never been more hordes of information in life than there is right now. And for you to just go on believing what somebody says without actually doing any more deeper research,
Right.
I'm not calling it lazy. I'm just saying you're not, I don't know. What is
They're
the
just
term?
not. Then maybe they're just not interested. You know, like you get to the point where you completely believe that you're okay. Like, you know, we talked earlier about the unknown. We all die eventually, and not knowing exactly what happens. Like if you can get yourself to a place to be like, oh, okay, like I believe in this thing, so when that time does come, I don't have to worry. And so just for at least for the rest of your life, you don't have to even be scared of it anymore. And so like I understand that, and that's what I think we all do that in some form of fashion. Either we don't think about it because nobody wants to think about that all of the time. And when you do, you can sit there with it, you know what I mean, and think about it and just to appreciate the life that you have right now, you know. But for the most part, I think people aren't trying to think about their own mortality. It's uncomfortable and just the great unknown. And so if somebody's like, well, you know, I do the Eucharist and then, you know, or I got baptized and so I'm going to go to the good place, you know, and I know that. And it's like, okay, you know what I mean? No fear now. So I get it. You know?
And there's comfort in belief. Without a
Absolutely.
doubt, there is. That's why I believe that. That's why I believe that belief is even a thing, because it's a comforting thing. You know, it's a
Right.
story that you tell your kids at night, so they don't see the boogeyman anymore. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah, and some people are going to people like you and I are going to be thinking about these deeper things just naturally. You know what I'm saying? Like you are constantly contemplating certain like complex things and really trying to get to the bottom of it, and you'll sit there and just grind on that for like the whole day, right? And some
Obsess over it.
people just don't have that wiring. You know what I'm saying? And so people that don't have the wiring for having to figure out the most deepest unknowns possible, you know what I mean? They don't require the extra research. You know what I'm saying? And so they're just like they're okay with that. And
I mean,
so,
dude, whenever you've accepted death twice in your life, you know what I mean? It's like you're gonna start to wonder a little bit. It's like anyway. So here we go. They believe. So it says. People have experienced something very like these rites through using psychedelic drugs. They believe they are dying and they feel themselves reborn. However, without the preparation symbolized in the hangman, the experience can often be deeply disturbing because you're not letting go, you know? Contrary to what many people believe, the card of death does not actually refer to transformation. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Rather, it shows us the precise moment at which we give up the old mask and allow the transformation to take place. Perhaps we can understand this better if we consider the tarot's parallel in psychotherapy. By force of will, strength, the person, it's talking about by force of will, the strength card, the person, with the help of the therapist guide, otherwise known as the hermit, allows knowledge to emerge of who he or she really is and what habits or fears he or she wishes to shed, such as the Wheel and Justice card. This knowledge brings calm. And a desire to change, the hangman. But then a fear sets in. If I give up my behavior, the person thinks, maybe there will be nothing left. I will die. We live under the ego's control for so many years, we come to believe that nothing else exists. The mask is all we know. Often people will stay stuck in therapy for years because they fear release. The nothingness of the fool terrifies them. The fact is, they're right. The I created out of these lifelong behaviors will indeed die. That person will cease to exist, but something else will emerge. The Rider-Waite image for Trump 13, which is the death card, increases the psychological meaning of the card. The four people demonstrate different approaches to change. The king, struck down, shows the rigid ego. If life comes at us with enough power, the ego may collapse. Insanity can result from an inability to adjust to extreme change. Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. The priest stands and faces death directly. He can do so because his stiff robes and hat protect him and support him. We see here the value of a code of belief to help us past our fears of death. The maiden symbolizes partial innocence. The ego is rigid, yet still aware of itself, unwilling to surrender. Therefore, she kneels but turns away. Only the child, representing complete innocence, faces death with a simple offering of flowers. Oh my God, that is wild. So death wears black armor. We have already seen how blackness and darkness symbolize the source of life as well as its end. Black absorbs all color. Death absorbs all individual lives. The skeleton rides a white horse. White repels all colors and therefore symbolizes purity, but also nothingness. The white rose stands for the desires purified, for when the ego dies, selfish and repressive needs die with it. At the back of the card, we see a sun rising between two pillars. The ego belongs to the outer world of duality, separating and categorizing experience. Through death, we feel the radiant power of life, which knows only itself. The landscape before the pillars remind us of the land of the dead, described in all mythologies. We fear the death of our old selves because we do not know what to expect afterwards. One main function of those shamans who see their skeletons is to go ahead through the land of the dead and thus be able to guide the souls of others. Probably what old optimistic doing right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm thinking, dude. Yeah.
A river flows through the middle of the card. Rivers, as we saw with the Empress card, indicate the unity of change and eternity. The fact that they lead to the sea remind us of the formless and oneness of the universe. The boat, reminiscent of the pharaoh's burial boats, symbolize the true self carried through death to a new life. No matter the picture, all tarot cards bear the number 13. Oh. What? Okay. Though most people consider 13 unlucky, they do not know why. In our culture, 13 refers to Judas, since he was the 13th man at the Last Supper, and therefore the number indicates Christ's and all people's death. Friday, the 13th, is especially unlucky because Christ died on a Friday. But we can also describe Christ as the 13th man. Death leads to resurrection. Oh, shit. So that's what I'm saying, the symbolism of all of this.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that even like skyscrapers don't even have a 13th floor?
A lot of them
Like,
don't, yeah.
It'll be the 13th floor, but it'll just be called 14. It'll just go right. Like, that's superstition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, most people would say that that's superstitious to even think that 13 is unlucky. But like, everybody's participating.
I know. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Are you superstitious or a little stitious?
stitious. I'm a little stitious, I think.
I'm a little bit.
For sure. A little bit, yeah.
So, in a more symbolic sense, 13 is unlucky because it takes us beyond 12. 12 is something of a quote-unquote perfect number. It combines the archetypes of 1 and 2. It symbolizes the zodiac and therefore the universe. It can be divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, more digits than any other number. Is 12. 13 destroys this elegance. It can be divided by nothing but 1 and itself. Again, we can go beyond the negative aspects of the symbolism precisely because it ruins the perfection of 12 and 13. It ruins the perfection of 12. 13 signifies a new creation. Death breaks up old forms and makes way for the new. This is why fucking symbolism is so awesome. It is poetic in its own way. You know?
Yeah.
13 is also considered unlucky because it suggests the frightening half-light of the moon. A year contains roughly 13 lunations. The moon goes around the Earth in 29.5 days. As well as being associated with darkness and mystery, the moon goes through its own death and rebirth every month. Christ's 3 days of death underground suggests a borrowing from earlier lunar figures, for the moon disappears for 3 days between the final sliver of waning and the first return in the waxing crescent. Because of the link between the menstrual cycle and the moon, worship of the moon in the ancient world belonged primarily to women. Many people believe that the medieval witches were really an underground survival of pagan moon worship. This is another reason why our Christian and patriarchal cultures consider 13 unlucky. It signifies witchcraft and subversive women following the moon in secret rituals. Damn, I like that number even more now. That's awesome. Yeah. The number 13...
They were worshiping the moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, whatever worship even means, though, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own definition of it, I think. Because everybody devotes themselves to their beliefs in very different ways. Even if they say that they are this religion or they are that religion, I know a lot of people that are of a specific religion that devote themselves to it in very different ways.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I feel like they probably just like revered it, or they recognized the moon for being what it is as far as like the monthly cycle. Like it was like it was saying as far as like women and you know, the moon's phases, it's every 30 days or whatever. It's like they recognized that, but I don't think anybody was actually worshiping that. You know what I mean? It was almost like because people were looking at that and trying to understand the deeper meaning of nature and not worshiping something else. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you go worship your moon then. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they were actually worshiping.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for them, but I know 100% that people used to worship the sun. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
and whatever really worshiping the sun even includes, because, you know, in ancient Egyptian worship, You know, they said that they were worshiping the sun. Now, were there people who didn't necessarily worship it, rather than just saw it for the magnificent life bringer and the light
Right.
bringer of all
Yeah.
reality? Or did they literally think that the sun died, you know, during the winter solstice, and, you know,
Right.
and then was reborn? And, or was it all symbolic? You know, there's no way of getting into the minds of ancient people, but
Right. No, but I can definitely understand looking at the sun and going, "Oh, this provides heat." And so without it, you know, when it's gone, it gets cold. And so thank God that's here, because if it was gone for too long, we'd probably freeze. And they just understood that this thing was very important. You know what I mean? So actually it makes sense to be like, "Oh, thank you." Because there was one morning I got up and it was like a little bit earlier than normal, right? And I just didn't really realize it, and it was still dark out, right? And I was taking the kids to school, and usually when I take them to school, it's already a little bit light. You can tell the sun's coming up just barely. But I was like, "Oh, it's weird that it's completely dark." And I was just thinking like, man, how crazy would that be if like while we were sleeping, the sun like exploded or just fucking went away, right? And we just didn't know. And that was the last bit of sunshine we would ever have. And we didn't even know it. You know what I mean? And now it's just night forever. I don't know. So I can
Yeah.
understand the importance of like looking at the sun and going, "Oh, thank you."
well, and
Because
there's
you let our plants grow and you keep us warm, and
yeah, there's something to, you know, showing thanks to things like that.
yeah,
You know,
like being
like,
grateful simply.
yeah, grateful in and of itself is a whole vibration that you encompass, and it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. You know what? I would like to go into the whole psychology and physiology and everything of gratefulness, because,
Mhm.
and this is something that probably Joe Dispenza has talked about probably at
Oh,
nauseum
I'm
at this
sure.
point, right? But like,
Yeah.
because whenever you pray or whenever you're grateful or whatever it is that your body is resonating with, it does
Mhm.
weird things, like weird spiritual things.
Oh,
And
absolutely, man. Just after that experience where it was like the most scary fucking thing ever, and then all of a sudden after that we made it through it. It was the next day, and it was just like I just felt like extra grateful for everything, dude. And that's huge. You can just ignore everything that you have and just take it for granted and then want more because you're incomplete, or you can be grateful for everything that you have and be complete. Like everything else from here is just the cherry on top.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's transformative in
Hmm.
itself.
Yeah, it definitely is. This is why it's important to learn all the symbolism. But
That's it, dude.
so anyhow, it says the number 13 adds up to 4, the Emperor. Through death, we overcome our outer social selves. Since 13 is a higher form of 3, the card also recalls the Empress and reminds us again that in nature, life and death are inseparable. In divinatory readings, death signifies a time of change. Often it indicates a fear of change. In its most positive aspect, it shows a clearing away of old habits and rigidness to allow a new life to emerge. It is, in its most negative aspect, it indicates a crippling fear of physical death. This fear goes deeper than many people realize, and often a reading with many positive indications will end badly because of death in the position of fears. The trump reversed, so whenever it's upside down, whenever death is reversed, it indicates being stuck in old habits. The Rider-Waite talks of inertia, sleep, and lethargy in life. This sense of a sluggish, boring life masks the sometimes desperate battle of the ego to avoid change. The card also indicates, the card always indicates that death, with its subsequent rebirth, is not only a possibility, but also, in a sense, a necessity. The moment has come to die. By drowning us in lethargy, the ego prevents awareness of this fact from coming to consciousness. Inertia, boredom, and depression often conceal inner terrors. Holy shit,
It makes
that's crazy.
so much sense, dude. Being put that way, it just makes so much sense because the universe itself, everything is in constant flux, right? Everything is subject to change, and so that includes us. So we're already naturally like almost wanting to change, like our true self is inside, like just like I'm changing, and our outside self is like, no, 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 I want to stay like this because this is what I know. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so no wonder people get depressed. It's just
Yeah.
like you're fighting nature at that point because we're all going through some extra shit or whatever, something happens, and like everything that happens just changes you just a little bit, and then before you know it, without doing the work and really trying to put your awareness to that, your inside is totally a different person, but your outside is just holding on for dear life.
Well, and think about, and think about even, for example, like whenever you get sick, especially the sickness that you just got done dealing with, it's probably, I can guarantee you the thought came across your mind that I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to start drinking more water. I can't wait to be on the other side. I'm going to be the best version of myself so that I don't get sick again. Even subconsciously, you probably thought that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
So it's almost like even overcoming the sickness is almost like a rebirth in a sense, and what's great about that is that instead of fearing that death of that sickness and fearing the rebirth, you're looking forward to it.
Right.
Which is really actually an interesting way of looking at it, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
So the next card we get to, so that was the death card. Solid. I definitely learned a hell of a lot about that one. That's a great card, actually.
Yeah, I love a lot of the little in-between conversation with that because it's just so deep, dude. Like, it just starts bringing up other things that you've thought about but haven't really worked out. You know what I mean? And so it gives us that opportunity to, like, let that breathe a minute.
I mean, hey, dude, you have 60,000 fucking thoughts in a day. You're not going to tell all of them to somebody,
Yeah, for sure. No, I need to start journaling. I think I just told someone that today. I was like, I think I'm just going to start writing. And just write shit down because I've done it only a couple times. And every single time I've done it, I've like figured something out about myself. And I'm like, what? Like, almost like I was surprised, and it's like, I should know that came from me. So why wasn't that just already understood? But it's blurry in here, because they're just happening so fast. And so you write it out and you're like, oh, now it's like in the physical and you can look at it and go, that's interesting that I wrote that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, let me dissect that, just that, and spotlight just that. Very important. I'm just gonna start writing.
What's that? It's like automatic writing at that point. It's almost like as soon as you get like a thought that you're writing out, as soon as you start, that's why they say writing is way more important and way more like mystical than typing something because it takes a little bit longer, whether you're doing it in cursive or just whatever, right? But it takes a little bit longer. And so your thoughts are literally ahead of what you're writing, right? And so it develops a little bit more time for you to think while you're writing that word and while you're thinking as you're writing that, because it's almost like a tiny little incantation, whatever you're writing out, and you're almost like channeling something in, and that's where people get lost. Not lost. Well, I guess kind of lost in the moment with automatic writing.
Yeah, because like you said, it kind of slows it down rather than your thoughts just like going from one thing to another. And like maybe you had like a really interesting thought, but then something else kind of came up, and then you get 5 or 6 thoughts down the road. You forgot the initial thought, and then you eventually you get busy, you start doing something, and then you totally forget all of that.
I know.
But if you write it down, it's like, oh, I got something. You start it, and then now you're consciously letting those thoughts come out, and you're able to actually process them. They're like much more developed.
Can grasp it a little easier. Yeah.
Right. And then they don't go anywhere. So you can just look at it and like really try to figure that out.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, literally per day, that I'll have this awesome thought, but then like another like thing that I got to do comes up, and I'm like, all right, that's too awesome. There's no way I forget about that, right?
Dude.
And then you go and do whatever you have to do. Maybe you have to let the dogs out, or maybe you have to change a diaper. If you're me or anybody else that has a little baby, it's like. And then you're like, oh man, what was that awesome thing that I was just thinking? Dude. I wanted to go down a rabbit hole, and I lost it.
I've had entire podcasts in my mind before. Like I'll be working, right? And I'll just be like thinking about the topic or whatever. And in my mind, dude, I'm speaking so clearly. The thoughts are like really profound. And I'm like, oh shit. And then what about this? And I'm like, and then I go on the microphone and it's like, what was all that stuff I was thinking about earlier? Cause it's just gone now. It's like, fuck.
I know.
Gone to the wind, man.
It, if it's meant to be said, then it'll come back. That's why I look at it.
Yeah, eventually it'll come around.
So the next card is Temperance. The chariot symbolized the successful construction of an ego able to deal victoriously with life. As time goes by, this ego becomes rigid. Slowly, behavior becomes less a response to reality and more a string of habits. The purpose of the second line of the major arcana is to free us from this artificial personality and at the same time give us a glimpse of the greater truths within the universe. Temperance, appearing below the Chariot card, shows a person whose behavior is once again connected to the real world, but in a way more meaningful way than ever before. For if the child relates directly to life, it does so without consciousness. And as consciousness grows, so does the ego. Temperance indicates the ability to combine spontaneity with knowledge. Oh, interesting. The term temperance means moderation. For most people, this means self-control. The tarot temperance, however, does not go to extremes simply because extremes are not necessary. Not an artificial inhibition according to a moral code, but exactly the opposite. A true and proper response to all situations as they arise. The word temperance derives from the Latin word temperare, it looks like, which means to mix or to combine properly. The person who has released his or her inner self is characterized not only by moderation, but by an ability to combine the different sides of life. Many people can only deal with life by parceling it off into sections. They create one personality for business and another for their private lives. Both are false. That's so funny. We were just talking about that before the show too. Holy shit. They consider certain moments and situations to be serious and others to be fun, and are careful never to smile at a serious subject. The people they love are often not people whom they find sexually attractive. All these separations derive from the inability to take life as it comes, moment by moment. Temperance combines the elements of life. In reality, it combines the elements of the personality so that the person and the outer world will flow together naturally.
Damn. There is no separation, man.
That's
Just
awesome.
a constant flow of you. You know, like no matter where you are, who you're dealing with, it's just like, this is me, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get caught in the minutia. You know, because there's a lot of, you know, what is the damn zodiac that is two-faced? I'm drawing a blank on it now. Gemini. So, like it said that Geminis are two-faced in a way, but I think that in actuality, most people are probably at least two-faced.
Because everyone's got the shadow. You know?
I mean, think about it. Are you always the same person to everybody?
No. I'm a bit of a chameleon, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like I try to understand where someone's coming from. And so then I kind of try to like blend into that environment and like make it more easy for them for some reason. Like that, maybe that's the people pleaser in me. I'm assuming, you know, but yeah, I'm always trying to, and I think that sounds kind of fucked up, really, if you think about it. You know what I mean? I should just be me, but I don't know. I don't ever want anybody to feel bad around me.
But what is the real you that you think is so offensive to other people that you have to change?
You know, that's the thing. I don't even think it's so much a thing of it being offensive. I think it's just more along the lines of like, I want you to know that I see you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm here. Like if this room is just me and you, then I need to be here. I don't know. Like I want to be that person that you need in that moment, rather than. I don't know.
I mean, that's a thoughtful thing to do and to think. Like, I don't even think that that's necessarily even a bad thing. I was just asking, you know, like what goes through your mind with it.
And I think that just kind of comes from my upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents would be fighting and shit. So I'm like, oh, I gotta save the day. I gotta be the one to like intermediate and like try to make both of them be okay right now. You know what I mean? And that's just kind of like, it's another attachment, I think.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, hey, it turned you into the person that you are, and I love you.
Hey, I'll take it, dude. I love you too, man.
So moving on, this trump card displays the signs of combination. By the way, this is still Temperance. It displays the signs of combination all through the picture. When we look at the Rider-Waite image on the left, which that's the original, you know, Rider-Waite card, we see first of all the water being poured from one cup to another. Were you just
Yeah, I
talking
know.
about that?
I was waiting for this part to come up because we were just talking about that, dude. As far as what I was doing at work, and also Optimistic's album cover of him putting one, yeah, dude, water going from one to the other, and like, dude, I'm telling you, this episode was definitely supposed to happen. I don't even question it now. I wasn't questioning it before, but now I definitely know that this is the episode we were supposed to do tonight.
Shout out to Banksy for pulling this one together. For real,
no
dude.
shit, dude.
So it says, notice that the lower cup is not directly below the upper cup, so the picture shows a physical impossibility. To other people, the temperate person's ability to handle all life's problems with joy appears magical. The writer packed Temperance presents both cups as magical. Oh, I see. So there's 3 different versions of the card. You know what? I'll show it here on the screen for anybody that's on Patreon.
It's gonna let you.
There we go.
There we go.
So here we go, and I think it's as far as I can zoom in right there. But you can kind of see they're all pretty similar, but a little bit distinctly different. Where were we? Yeah, so the Rider Pact Temperance card presents both cups as magical. And the Worth picture on the right upper one is silver, so the cup is silver, indicating a flow from the moon. That is the unconscious to the sun, which is consciousness. Whoa. So a flow from the moon to the sun, unconsciousness flowing into consciousness. Crazy. The second line began with a withdrawal from the world to find the inner self. The time has now come to return to the normal activities of life. The road especially signifies a return. So you see a road in the card, kind of off to the sunset a little bit. We have gone down into the self, and we are now making our way back to involvement with the outer world, enriched. Notice the 2 pillars of the earlier cards have become 2 mountains. Abstract ideas are becoming reality. Temperance is a card of behavior, not concepts. The angel stands with 1 foot on land and 1 foot in water. As the water represents the unconsciousness, so the land symbolizes the quote-unquote real world of events and the other people. The temperate personality, acting from an inner sense of life, links the 2 realms. The water also indicates potentiality, that is, the possibilities of life, while the land symbolizes manifestation or actuality. The temperate person, through his or her actions, brings into reality the wonders sensed by the hanged man. The Bodha Temperance, which is that the bottom one that it was referring to? I don't know. The Bodha Temperance shows water being poured on a lion and a torch dripping flames on an eagle. Leo symbolizes fire, or the magician, while the ego, the higher form of Scorpio, stands for water, or the high priestess. The angel is mixing the basic dualities, inseparably combining the different sides of life that previously appeared hopelessly alien to each other. Now the eagle stands for the higher Scorpio because Scorpio represents the energy of the unconscious. As the lower form, the scorpion, this energy shows itself primarily as sexuality, the animal desires of the undeveloped personality. When the energy has been transformed by channeling it through awareness, it becomes the eagle of spirituality. Whoa. Okay. So yeah, the scorpion is the lower, like, animalistic form of that, that symbol. And then the eagle is like still the Scorpio, but the highest self.
Right.
Yeah. So all the Scorpios out there, turn yourself into an eagle, dude.
Yeah. Just do it already.
No big deal. So when the energy has been transformed by channeling it through awareness, it becomes the eagle of spirituality. Strength showed this energy brought out in the form of the lion. In the Bodha Temperance, in the Bodha deck Temperance, we see the process completed. The eagle and the lion combined. Oh, shout out to the griffin.
That's great. No, that makes sense too. Like the scorpion being like the lower version. You know what I mean? It's like literally on the surface and the eagle is just flying up in the sky. You know, has that higher vantage point and can see kind of all that's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
just
that is
what's on
super
the
interesting.
surface.
Yeah, you're not a surface dweller like
Yeah.
a belly. You know, your belly's
Yeah.
on the ground, which is
Right.
actually, you know, the scorpion and the snake are very similar in that sense. That supposedly, you know, God cursed the snakes so that they'll always be bottom dwellers and their belly's always on the ground so they can never look up or something like that.
Right. Right.
But it just goes to show that you can transcend and transmute that because that energy has the capability of becoming, you know, the Scorpio to the eagle in that sense.
Yep.
The angel resembles the Greek goddess Iris, whose sign was the rainbow. A rainbow appears on the Boda card and iris flowers on the Rider Pack version. Rainbows appear as a sign of peace after a storm, which reminds us that temperance shows the personality released by the fearful experience of death. The rainbow comes from water, yet shines as light across the sky, an emblem of the inner self, which once seemed dark, chaotic, fearful, brought out and joyously transformed into the promise of new life. In Jewish and Christian tradition, the rainbow is a sign of renewal after the flood. The flood, like Shiva's destruction of the universe, stands psychologically for the death of old patterns, which do not reflect the truth and joy of life, and which lead people into evil behavior, destructive to themselves and to others. Oh.
I'm telling you, dude, today has just been one giant synchronicity. Like every single thing that's been happening today, like we had a hailstorm, and then the clouds were kind of clearing, and there was a rainbow, and then just I don't know, just everything that's happening today is just like playing out in front of me, almost comically. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Hey, dude,
It's interesting.
it's all a dream.
Mhm.
We just think it's real.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, So it says, as Zeus's messenger, Iris traveled to the underworld to fill her golden cup with water from the river Styx. The Greeks believed that dead souls traveled across the Styx to the land of the dead. Only a descent into the underworld of the self can renew life. Religiously, the angel symbolizes the immortal soul liberated by death. If you look closely below the collar, you will see God's name worked into the fabric of the gown. Is that for real?
I have no idea.
Which one?
I don't.
Yeah, that must be on the regular temperance because the other two temperance cards definitely don't have it. On the collar, it says. Oh, in Hebrew. That's what it is.
Okay.
Those
I was
little
like,
Hebrew
I don't
marks.
see. Okay, that makes more sense. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. YHVH, I think, is how it goes. Dude, that is so strange. Yeah, dude. So, in Christian tradition, the soul will become joined with God after the resurrection. The triangle within the square indicates that the spirit rises from within the material body. Psychologically, the angel indicates the energy of life which emerges after the ego's death. The triangle now shows that this energy works within the square of ordinary activities. We do not need to perform miracles to sense our connection with the immortal universe. We need only to be ourselves. Remember that the Tetragrammaton, the YHVH, the name of God, which, by the way, I just found out why nobody was allowed to say it for the longest time.
Why?
The reason why you are not allowed to say the Tetragrammaton, or I don't know how to say that word, Tetragrammaton, there we go. The reason why you were never allowed to say that, it's almost like Voldemort, you know? But the reason why you were never allowed to say it was because to say it would be putting God in a box, almost like Taoism.
Right. Oh, okay. So if you can name it, then it's not that
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I was thinking actually real quick, like that's the resurrection, dude. That's the true self coming out. You know what I mean? Like you go away, you go down into the darkness, right, for a couple days, and then you come out resurrected as a new version of yourself.
Yeah, there's something there's something real crazy about that. And also the so in that show that Nick was constantly referring to us that you definitely got to get on his Dark Materials.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie fucks. I'm telling you right now, or that show, it is so good. Even symbolically, it is so good. It is up there with the OA, bro. Like on some real shit.
Really?
It's up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I might have to do it, man. Yeah, it's not that I'm trying not to watch it. I just been so busy, man.
I know.
You know,
Especially
like
the
there's
holidays.
like time is so valuable right now. Like anytime there's a free moment, it's like, oh, let me just put my feet up for a minute.
I know.
You know what I mean? And just like, I don't know.
You almost feel guilty taking 45 minutes to watch an episode of something.
Doing anything for myself, really. I'm like, ugh, you know, like.
But look,
I don't
in
know why
that
that is.
show, they so I'm not going to give away the whole thing, but in that show, they went to the other side, like of death, like to I guess like to try and rescue all the souls that have been stolen or something like that. But in order to get there, they had to cross the river Styx in a wooden boat, very much like what this is talking about, like of the Greek, you know, kind of pantheon. And also on top of that, speaking of synchronicities, I just heard this guy, he had a near-death experience. He said he had this 60 years ago and he can still remember it like it was yesterday. He had this near-death, right? And he said that whenever he died, he immediately just like appeared in this wooden boat that was just going down this river. And he goes, I'm telling you that 100% that was the river Styx that the Greeks always talked about. And he said that it felt so long, that boat ride. He goes, it may as well have been like a boat ride to Australia. Like he goes, it was that long. And so I'm like, dude, there might be something to it. I don't know.
I wonder about that. You know, people have all of these different experiences, like something like that that's so symbolic and like a well-known understanding or of a story of, you know, or mythology or whatever, and people have these real experiences. It's like, first of all, like what came first, chicken or the egg type of thing, you know, the story of that, and then people experiencing that, or people experienced that and then they wrote it down and then it became what it is, you know. It's like, but then some other people have a totally different experience that's also written within some other book, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, are all of the things possible? You know what I mean? Is it the thing that we think it is that we experience?
Well, look, if we are to look at all of these stories as if they are mythology and symbology and numerology and what's the meaning of it and stuff like that, then that means that they still exist within the mind as a real thing, right? Especially if you believe in it. But I don't even necessarily think that you have to believe in it for you to experience it. I think that it just has to be there. Like you need a story that allowed that memory to be stored within your subconscious. And maybe whenever you have a near-death experience or you actually experience death, that is your mind, your whatever you are, the essence that you are, that is your mind's way of, you know, getting to the other side. Well, I know that I have to go through this. And so it just materializes it. And then
there's a path.
And then honestly, I think that, you know, in a lot of ways, at least symbolically, it shows itself in real physical life as well, many of times, right?
What do you mean?
Well, just like, you know, for example, all the synchronicities that we had even leading into today, you know, it's almost like it was pre-planned or predestined or call it fate, whatever. And it was like everything that we personally experienced today, we were meant to experience, no matter how minute they were, to apply to our understanding and almost like concretize this understanding even more so that we get it even more.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I wonder about that. Like if we're wrong about what we think is going to be the place that we go or what happens when we die. You know what I mean? Like why am I experiencing things that I've experienced today that told me something completely, you know what I mean? Like it almost confirmed kind of what I believe as far as what happens after we die. You know, just like you said, the synchronicities and the symbology. And if I was somebody thousands of years ago who lost a friend and then connected all of those dots, and then it showed itself in real life symbolically, like the cups pouring water into the other cup, and it was just like it connected those dots and was like, oh, okay, like obviously that's what it is, because in my experience, life itself is showing me, like it's confirming it to me. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm wrong, why am I seeing it that way? You know what I mean? Is my mind just putting these dots together and just, I don't know. It was just too what's the word? Coincidental. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? To be, I don't know, dude. It was just like,
It was perfect.
was
It
too
happened
much,
the
dude.
way, the exact way that if there was somebody on the other side writing a script,
right.
you know what I'm
Almost
saying?
like pushing it along and going, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, look, do you see it? Do you see it? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was thinking. And it just gave me chills right now, just remembering what that felt like and going, like you said, concretizing. Like, it just sealed the deal and was
Yes.
like, yeah, that's it, dude. Like, you know, I don't know.
Well, and
I don't know.
and look, I think that we have to get away from almost, because I feel like I definitely do it a lot, but and I would like to stop doing it. And that is comparing my beliefs to others and getting mad that other people think, that we're stupid for what we think. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, because I think that no matter what, it's whatever you believe is, this is just my own opinion, and I'm not the only one to think this, but I think that God is experiencing itself through each and every individual out there.
Absolutely.
There is no way that that's not happening. It
Well, that's
can't
why.
not be.
That's why, that everything that everybody experiences, it feels so real, because all of the potential in the universe makes it possible for all of us to experience what we're supposed to experience, and so for people that maybe they think we're crazy, you know what I mean, for thinking, oh, reincarnation, oh, what you're gonna, you know what I'm saying, like, I feel like it just makes it possible. The universe, source, whatever it is, makes it possible for us to experience it as though it is absolutely real. And that's why some people cannot just say, okay, you know what, maybe you're right. You know what I mean? Because there's no way, like, I can understand that in someone else's reality that they're right, and in my reality I'm right. That's how it is, for sure.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
and nobody's ever gonna completely agree, because in your reality, you can't see it a different way.
it's very different from person to person, and that's what makes it, personal at that point. I think that that's exactly the way that it was supposed to be. There was a quote of Optimistic, and that I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was pretty funny. But he talked about how religion and people arguing over which religion is right. He goes, it's just a bunch of people like arguing over which imaginary friend is real. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we played that one last night, and yeah, dude, that's perfect.
so funny.
It's perfect. I mean, your imaginary friend is just for you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to be friends with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But people are like, well, I know that this is real. How could you not know it's real? And for some reason, people take offense to it. I'm like, look, I don't think that God needs you to take offense over what I'm doing and thinking. I think that, you should just be living your own way. And, you're not supposed to be judging anyway. So
I think that's the shift that's going to happen. I think eventually people are going to get that, and just be like, oh, yeah, that does seem a little bit weird that you believe that, but I get it. I understand why you feel that way and why it feels so real for you and why I'll never get it. That's the shift, and just be like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? I don't have to accept your belief. You don't have to accept mine. And then that's it, dude. Like, it's not that hard.
dude,
People are just trying to fight all the time. Ridiculous.
Well, it gets clicks. But
Yeah.
So our only viral video on TikTok is actually our most viral video on Instagram is actually one with me, you, and Banks.
Oh,
That's
really?
like our most popular video on Instagram. Yeah, it got like,
Oh.
I don't even know how many likes, but a lot. And
That's cool.
but on TikTok, our most viral one is the one on pantheism. It's got like 10,000+ likes, and it's been
Really?
seen over 100,000 times, and it's going kind of crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
But somebody wrote on one of the comments that I thought was actually, I don't know if they were like just coming to this conclusion or what, but
Right.
they said, well, if everything's God, then nothing's God. And I said, now you got it.
You got it. Welcome to the party, pal. That's great.
You're welcome for your mind being exploded.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that's great. That's great.
But anyhow, let's get back to it. So it says, remember that the Tetragrammaton appeared on the wheel as a mystery of fate. Here, the name has become part of us. We become masters of our fate when we learn to deal with life as it comes and not according to routines of habits and defenses. That's why it's so important to be present all the time. The divinatory meanings, like the card's ideas, begin with the moderation, balance in all things, and taking the middle path. The card means right action, doing the correct thing in whatever situation arises. Very often, this means doing nothing. The intemperate person always needs to be doing something. So we're still on temperance, by the way. If you're not temperate, then that person always needs to be doing something, but very often a situation requires a person to simply wait. The card will sometimes appear as an antidote to cards of recklessness and hysteria. Temperance signifies mixing disparate elements together, blending activities and feelings to produce a sense of harmony and peace. Because it means balancing and combining the different sides of life, temperance carries a special significance for the minor arcana. If a reading shows a person split between, say, wands and cups, activity and passivity, or cups and pentacles, fantasy and reality, then temperance, moderation, and acting from an inner sense of life can give a clue to bringing these things together. Like the Fool reversed, temperance upside down indicates a wildness, going to extremes. In temperance, this is because the person lacks the inner awareness to know what is appropriate to a situation. The Trump reversed can act as a warning that you have allowed your life to become fragmented and that you are sliding from one extreme to another. It can, in fact, indicate failure in the great task of letting old habits and fears die away into the past. On a simple level, the reverse temperance tells us to calm down and avoid extremes. In its deepest sense, it sends us back to strength to begin that long, sometimes painful, sometimes frightening, but always essentially joyous process of death and rebirth.
That's great, dude. That's
I just got goosebumps on that one.
Yeah, because I feel like we do have that urgency sometimes to always be a part of the story, or to be like, if something's going on and you can kind of see it like from a distance, right? Let's say this person said this thing, and you can almost see this drama starting up. Like, you know that you already kind of know what's going to happen because this person's going to do that, and then that person's going to, and you can just kind of see the trickle effect and what could possibly play out. So then you're like, oh, let me jump in there and like, hey, dude, like, no, it's okay, well, whatever. Like, and you want to like almost try to stop it from happening. Let's just say, like, let's say you're at work or whatever. And you don't always have to do that. You don't have to be a part of every single situation. You know what I mean? Like in a movie, when the hero was like, oh, well, this has to happen, right? And so then it shows him like making a plan, right? And like, okay, they're drawing it out and they're gonna figure out what they're gonna do. It doesn't just cut right to the thing happening. You know what I mean? There has to be that little pause, in between the extremes.
There has to be. Yeah, there has to be that moment almost. It almost gives you a moment in between those extremes to make sure that you want to make that extreme decision.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So the Temperance, what a great card. Never knew that. I actually never knew what the Temperance card meant.
I love it.
That's a good one. A mediator of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
The next card we get into is the scary card. Well, 3 out of these 4 are scary, but this one is the Devil card.
This gets a bad rap. Really.
It does. It does. Well, because it has the devil on it.
Yeah.
And
I was referring to the devil. Yeah, he gets a bad rap.
He do. Yeah.
It's not always him.
Yeah. All bad is always equated. Like, it's always like, oh, the devil made me do it, or the devil tempted me into doing it. It's like,
it's the boogeyman, dude.
Do you literally think that there is a devil in the astral realm that is doing these things to you? Or, and also, how about this? The devil, it in a lot of ways, exactly like a scary trip. The devil will show you a hard time, or give you a hard time, or tempt you, or, whatever, right? But every single time you come out better for it. You know, every single time you have the ability to transmute it, and you have the ability to grow, and you have the ability to shed off your old skin of the person that you were, because you are now stronger for having gone through that. So why is the devil always seen as terrible?
Right. Exactly, dude. We all got the shadow. We all got the shadow work to do. You know what I mean? Like, pretending that that's not there isn't helping anybody. You know?
Yeah, the devil is, just look at it like that. The devil's the shadow, and that's something that you got to overcome. And if you are not ready, and if you're not willing to surrender, then it's going to be a bad trip, you know? And it's not going to be fun. And until you get over it, you're going to keep on experiencing that same old thing. That's why so many people are caught in this like fucking Groundhog's Day loop of, because they just don't learn their lesson. I'm one of them. It took me forever to come to the conclusion that I'm at right now, you know, in my own personal life. But I needed to go through it so many times to see the pattern for what it was, because I was too fucking stubborn and blind to be able to interpret it in real time. So it was almost, it became a habit of, I'm going to do this, 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 and I'm not going to learn, I'm not going to learn, I'm not going to learn. And then bang, I almost die in a trip. Well, at least I thought I was. And now it's like, oh, okay, now I know I'm not going to keep on making that same mistake.
Yeah, that lesson will continue to present itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, an obstacle isn't really an obstacle once you understand what it is. You know what I mean? Oh, I just have to step over this thing. Oh, it's not even an obstacle. You've ran into it enough times. You hit your head on it enough times. Yeah. Dude.
Yeah, dude. You know, it's like with anything else though. Like, you know, like anytime you ever start a new job, it's always kind of difficult at first, because you know that there's a proper way to do these things, but you haven't fallen into that habit of just doing it almost mindlessly yet. And so it's brand new, and you're trying to figure it out, and you probably fuck it up more times than you get it right for at least the first, I don't know, couple weeks. And then whenever you finally get it, it's like, oh, I don't even know why that was such a hurdle for me to get over. But initially, it's difficult.
And when I first started the job that I have now, I didn't think I was going to make it, dude. Like, after the third week, I was like, I don't know if I can fucking do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, and most of that was mental. You know, I think I was creating a bigger obstacle than what was really there. And so once that fell away, and I just kind of got used to, you know, the environment and the people and just kind of everything that was going on around me, oh, like, I can do this in my sleep now. You know what I mean? It's so vastly different from when I started to now. And so most of that is mental, for sure.
So if that was the devil giving you a hard time, wouldn't you kind of be thankful for him now?
Oh, dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
I know that might even seem like a blasphemous statement, but I'm talking about psychologically, you know, spiritually, whatever. Or you might even just downplay it and say, oh, well, that probably wasn't the devil because it wasn't even that bad. You know what I'm saying? Once you've gotten over the hurdle. Before,
I might have seen it as such. You know what I mean? I might have thought, oh, this is a dark thing. This is a bad thing. This is definitely not a preferable thing. And now it's not even a thing. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, I had this thought, and it's like super off topic, but I was thinking like heaven would definitely be like a place that's outside of time, right? Wouldn't you think? Isn't that where God would be? Like, God's outside of time.
Well, if you believe, you know, that heaven only exists in the afterlife, then yeah.
In that sense, right? Like, just how the narrative is, it's outside of time. Do you think hell is also outside of time? And if it is, how can anybody spend an eternity there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what is eternity outside of time?
Outside of time. Yeah, that was just a weird thought I had today. I was like, huh, all right.
I don't think even most religious people even go that deep into thinking about it, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's fair.
They just accept it for what it is, and hey, I'll find out whenever I get there.
Yep. Okay. All right, that's fair.
Because I believe, and Paul said, all I gotta do is believe.
Paul, good old Paul, dude.
Paul, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I love taking as many jabs at him as I can. So anyhow, speaking of Paul, I mean the devil.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were someone else.
Why does he look so similar to somebody? I'm just kidding. So the devil card. Why does this grim figure of oppression appear so late in the tarot? After achieving the balance of temperance, why fall so abruptly? The devil bears the number 15, which reduces to 6.
Oh.
The lovers, and in fact, we can say that the Rider-Waite worked backwards from the devil when he designed his radical version of the Lover's card. Thus, in the Rider pack, the devil, with his captured demons, appears as a person of Trump 6. What was the Trump 6? Oh, that must have been the Lover's card. But why the true card so early and the perversion so near the end? The devil introduces the last line. This hints that it provides some vital energy for the work of that line. Now, the line deals with archetypal forces beyond the self. Does the road to enlightenment take us through the dark world of the devil? Remember that Dante goes through hell before he can reach purgatory and paradise, and that William Blake, the occultist and poet, described the devil as the true hero of Milton's moralist poem called Paradise Lost. In order to understand the esoteric value of the devil, we must first consider its more usual meanings as a force of illusion and oppression. The main illusion is materialism, a term which we usually think of as an over-concern with money, but which more properly means the view that nothing exists beyond the world of the senses. Oh, okay. The devil perches on a block of stone similar to the Emperor's Cube in the Boda deck. But where that cube symbolized the entire universe, the devil's rectangle, half a cube, indicates an incomplete knowledge. Denying any spiritual component to life, the materialist pursues only personal desires, monetary, sexual, and political. Since such narrowness often leads to unhappiness, the devil has come to symbolize misery. When we look at the two figures, however, we do not observe any discomfort in their faces or posture. Notice also that the chains do not really hold them. The large loops can easily come off. The devil's power rests in the illusion that nothing else exists. In a great many situations, from political oppression to the personal misery of a bad family life, people only become consciously unhappy when they realize that life holds other alternatives. Damn, it's always greener on the other side. Yeah.
Yep.
That's why social media is such a cesspool, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's not healthy, dude. It really is not.
Especially Facebook, dude. Every time I go on there, I'm like, I'm wasting my life watching this bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things about technology, right? But I feel like knowing everything that's happening all at once is not what our mind was made for. You know what I mean? Like it's not healthy.
Yeah, we were not designed to be aware of the struggles that are going on in Pakistan. You know, if you're American, like think about it, before technology, before phones and before TVs and all that kind of stuff. If you lived in America, if you lived in Florida, chances are you probably never even heard of Pakistan, let alone knew exactly what kind of oppression they might be facing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
In real time. Because you're dealing with your own stuff. You got work, you got the kids, they need this, you don't have enough money, but you're also worried about some war that's going on in some other country, and you already have a side that you chose, you know, that you want to win because of some other reason that's going on, and you're also dealing with your shadow, but you don't know it, so you call it the devil. You know what I'm saying? There's like all this shit happening at once, and it's like, it's too much, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's meant to be overwhelming, to be honest. Like, I think that was probably the main reason that social media was ever even created. I think that that's the main reason why news was created. It's something that is meant to make the world seem like a dangerous place, and the world is a horrible place. The news never shows anything good.
No,
you know,
dude,
like,
it doesn't get clicks, like you said earlier. You know, that's
don't
the
get
problem.
clicks. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, if all your algorithm is bad shit, then that's all you're gonna see, and then you're gonna start really believing that, dude. And most people that you see or run into at the grocery store are super fucking nice. You know what I mean? You might get one dipshit or whatever that's just like, you know what I mean, pushing old ladies around. I don't know, but like for the most part, dude, most people are fucking nice, but that's not what you see. You know? Yeah,
typically most people really. And maybe I'm an optimist for this one, but I genuinely believe that most people are good. Like,
yeah,
to their soul, I believe that most people are good, and I think that 1% of extremes oftentimes is an overlay. Yeah, it's a highlight for the rest of humanity. But if you really think about it, like If people were that bad, then your local news would only be about local things. It would only be about your neighborhood or your town or your city or, but they have to span it across the entire state or across the entire country or across the entire world. And it's like they're running out of bad things to talk about. So let's talk about what's going on in Kentucky on Louisiana news. You know what I mean? Yep. Like if it was that bad, it would literally never stop and only in your town.
Right. Exactly, dude. Yeah. But like we said, it gets clicks, dude. That's the thing. Nobody wants to, listen to people just agree on stuff and be like, yeah, everything's good. There's no drama. People have to have the drama for some reason. Like they crave it. They're addicted to it at this point.
Yeah. You need the black and white, the checkerboard floors,
Yeah, dude.
So here we go. The devil's posture, one hand up, one hand down, recalls the magician, where the magician raises a wand to heaven, bringing down spiritual power. The devil's torch points to earth, signifying that belief that nothing exists beyond the material. Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep. Because then what else is there then? If that's what you believe, there's nothing else. And so if you don't have the things, you don't have the money, well, how are you going to feel about yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have a more deeper understanding, a more spiritual understanding, or even just a better understanding of how your own brain works, you know what I mean? And not just the things you don't have.
Well, and that's where even like the upside down pentagram gets a bad rap. They think that it only means the devil, but people don't go any deeper into the actual symbolism of what the upside down pentagram actually means. And all it means is essentially instead of pulling from heaven down through the conduit that is your body, you're now saying that like, I only want this arrow guided straight to the material world. It's not even pointing to hell. People think that it's pointing to hell. It's not. It's pointing to the material, physical world that we are living in, and that's where their focus wants to be. You're trying to manifest something into this physical world for physical gain of some kind of sort. And so it is a bastardization of the proper pentagram, but, for different means. I mean, there's a shitload of different spells out there, but I don't even think that it's... I don't know. I think that it's probably spiritually immature to have the upside down pentagram, but I don't think that it's I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it gets taken out of context.
No, for sure, dude. Just like most things,
Right. So the devil's palm bears the astrological glyph for Saturn. Oh, wow. See, it's tiny little details. You wouldn't even think to look at that. Huh. All right. So the astrological glyph for Saturn, a planet often seen as symbolizing evil or misfortune, but more properly viewed as limitations, weaknesses, or restrictions. The outspread finger plus the number 5 in 15 recall the Hierophant's two fingers up and two down, where the latter gesture signified that there was more to the universe than what you can see before you. The devil's open palm indicates again that nothing exists beyond the obvious. The devil wears a reverse pentacle, a symbol of black magic, on his forehead. Now the pentacle carries a great many significances. If you stand with your feet apart and your arms out, you will see that the pentacle symbolizes the human body. The right way up, the head is uppermost, and when we reverse the pentacle, the genitals are above the head. Okay, I was like, am I reading that right? In traditional Christian teachings, the power of reason, the ability to tell right from wrong, rules the desires. Therefore, the reverse pentacle indicates letting your desires overpower your judgment. The devil's torch inflames the man's tail, and people who experience their sexual needs as both overpowering and destructive have often described it as a fire burning inside them. Oh, shit. The card's background is black, symbolizing black magic, the inability to see the truth and depression. Thus, we see the devil's traditional meanings. illusion, materialism, misery, and sexual obsession. And yet, the card carries a great force. The devil stares out at us intensely. Practitioners of Tantra describe the Kundalini as a fire in the body, beginning at the root of the spine, the tailbone, and evoked by sexual rites. Consider again the pentacle, the sex organs over the head. The image reminds us of the Rider Pack Lover's card, where the woman, symbol of the unconscious and the passions, looks to the angel. We can also recall the Strength card directly above the devil, where the lion symbolizes the animal energy raised up and tamed. We have already spoken of the occult belief that sexual and spiritual energy are actually one and the same, symbolized by Scorpio's double image of scorpion and eagle. God damn, this thing is deep. Strange as it sounds, this idea is not really so mysterious. Okay, I guess it's not deep. Just calling me out for that one.
That's what you talk about.
It's like, you little bitch. It takes neither an occultist nor a Freudian to recognize the great power of sex in our lives. How much of popular culture, with its love songs, romantic movies, and sexual jokes and slang, is devoted to it? If for the average person the sex urge is so dominant, then it makes sense that the occultist should seek to tap this energy and raise it to such a level that eventually it becomes wholly transformed into the overwhelming experience of enlightenment. Yeah, buddy. The more subtle point, dreaming, is always accompanied by the body's sexual arousal, an erect penis or clitoris, plus other indications. Now, a dream is the unconscious manifesting itself as images. The indication is that the unconscious is sexual in nature and that dreams are a partial transformation of that energy into a wider form. In fact, the term unconscious does not really refer to the dreams and myths which reveal it to us, but rather to the great pool of energy which sustains us through life. Our Western culture has taught us that the body and the spirit are fundamentally opposed. We assume that the monk and nun abstain from sex so as to not contaminate themselves. But we can look at celibacy in another way. By refraining from sex, the celibate can turn that energy in another direction. In India, the connection between sexual and spiritual energy has always been recognized. Shiva's symbol is a phallus, while the Tantra rites call for copulation as a way of charging the body with energy. The Gnostics, a major influence on European occult ideas, practiced rites very similar to Tantra. And the Gnostics, like Blake, the person they mentioned earlier after them, considered Satan the true hero of the Garden of Eden, seeking to give Adam and Eve knowledge of their true selves. If the way to spirit leads through the desires, then why does society repress them? And if the path to liberation has been known and mapped out for centuries, why keep it a secret? The answer to these questions lies in the terrible power of sexual spiritual energy. If raised to the higher level, it frees us from the limitations of duality. However, if the power is released and not transformed, it can result in obsessions, sexual crimes, violence, and even the destruction of the personality. It was not simply sexual politics that led the Greek patriarchs to attack the female-dominated mysteries of ecstatic rapture. Overwhelmed by the forces released within themselves, the worshippers would whip and mutilate themselves and sometimes rage through the countryside, tearing to pieces animals, men, and even children who are not safely locked indoors. It is only the person who has been trained, who has achieved a deep level of inner peace, who has, in fact, reached the understanding that the tarot calls temperance, who can deal safely with the forces implied in the devil. So you need temperance to deal with the devil. Makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You need that pause, dude.
Well, it's all about moderation. Yeah. I mean, because your animal desire is never moderate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, if you're hungry, dude, I will like literally blow through this wall to go get some food. Or, you know, if you're aroused or whatever the case is, you know what it's like to have your animal like aggression inside of you whenever you have something on your mind. And so the card that we were just talking about that I already temperance, the temperance is just that little moment of pause that you need that brings you away from your animalistic instincts and puts that little pause.
Yeah, it kind of brings me back to talking about the automatic writing. As you're writing it out, it gives you that time to pause and really reflect on what you've just written. You know what I mean? As you're writing it, and then you write more and you build on that. You're slowing it down just a little bit. You don't always have to be just go, 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 go. You know?
Yeah, yeah, that pause is almost a very spiritual thing if you really think about it. You know, because without that pause, you're just an animal.
Yeah.
So it says, actually, the devil implies a great deal more than sexual rights and violent energy. On a wider sense, it symbolizes the life energy locked up in the dark, hidden areas of the self, which cannot be entered by ordinary means. It is called the devil because for those who are not prepared to receive this energy, it can manifest itself as monsters, a sense of the universe as filled with evil or temptation to indulge in violence. We said in the second line that the child develops a strong ego so that it will no longer fear the darkness. The action of the second line gave us a glimpse of the dark waters beneath the wheel of life. The third line requires a complete release of unconscious energy. Such a flood can only come through entering that hidden area with all its illusions, horrors, and desires, which can so easily distract the unprepared from the final goal. Look again at the gestures of the Hierophant and the devil. The priest's 2 fingers held down signify that there is more to life than what we see. At the same time, the fingers imply that the path to that deeper knowledge is closed. The devil's open fingers can symbolize the narrow illusion of thinking that what you see is all that exists, or it can symbolize seeing everything. Nothing hidden away. The specific gesture made by the devil with a gap between the two double fingers is the gesture made by the high priest in Jerusalem to bring down the spirit force. It survives today in the Jewish New York celebrations as part of the priestly blessing. Paul Douglas has called the devil card the dark side of the collective unconscious. When the so-called black magicians, once a title for the devil, oh, that's interesting, conjures a demon, he or she is actually bringing out a force from inside the self. If the operation goes successfully, the magician masters the demon, making it his or her servant. That is, the magician uses the liberated energy rather than falling a prey to it. To do this, the magician must be purified of ego's desires and of fear. In short, he or she must have achieved temperance. Otherwise, the demon can, in quotes, win the encounter. The magician becomes a slave to the illusions of the devil. Damn, that's crazy. We have gone quite deeply into a radical interpretation of the devil. The card's divinatory meanings tend to follow the more usual interpretations. We take the more obvious meanings because in a reading, the card appears out of context. The devil can indicate a narrow materialistic view of life. It can mean any form of misery or depression, especially feeling chained or imprisoned with the illusion that no alternatives are possible. If it appears in connection with the lovers, it shows that a relationship which began with love has turned into a trap. The devil signifies the slave of your desires rather than acting the way that you think is best. It can mean a controlling obsession, particularly a sexual one, where the person feels drawn to commit acts he or she finds morally repugnant. The extreme example is the sex criminal. On a much more common level, many men and women find themselves powerfully attracted to people they actively dislike. The feeling of helplessness and shame which results from giving in to these desires belongs to the devil. Earlier, we observed the calm on the faces of the chained men and women. This indicates the acceptance of a bad situation. Eventually, we come to view our unhappy conditions as normal and may even fight against change. The devil reversed, on the other hand, indicates an attempt to break loose from some misery or bondage, either real or psychological. The person no longer accepts his or her situation and moves towards liberation. Paradoxically, it is precisely at such a time that we feel our unhappiness and the limitations of our lives most strongly. Before you can slip off the chains, you must become conscious of them. Therefore, people who are undergoing some process of liberation, say leaving home, psychotherapy, or a difficult divorce, often find themselves far more unhappy than when they blindly accepted their oppressed condition. Damn.
See, looking at it this way and understanding that for what it is, it just makes way more sense as far as actually getting through life in such a much more manageable way. You know, rather than saying, well, the devil got me again. I was tempted. Didn't even see him coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, what can I do? I can't defeat the devil, right? Instead, you look at it as just like the shadow within yourself, and you see something that you know is going to be tempting. Like, you see it before it comes, right? Like, you've been to the shadow. You know, you're familiar with all of those things. Now you see it coming. You know what I mean? Almost before it even shows itself. And so you're able to just like, I see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not
that
today.
that stress
Right?
manifests the hardest right before you have that decision to make, because now it's real. Now you're not blindly, like shielding yourself from the truth of the situation.
Right. Or
It's
acting just on animal instinct. You know what I mean? Oh, it just was like a knee jerk reaction. You know what I mean? Had no choice in the matter.
yep,
You know?
crazy. So, such a period can be crucial to a person's development. If one can survive it, one will emerge happier and with a more developed personality. Oh my God, that speaks perfectly to what I was talking about earlier.
Yep.
Sometimes we can find the period of transition unbearably painful and slip back to our chains. I was just talking about that.
Perfect.
The devil reversed in this position of the devil reversed in the position of the past often means that the change has occurred, but the feelings of sadness, of anger, of depression remain, perhaps hidden from conscious view, but still an influence. We must often deal with the devils of the past, even those we have long ago overcome in practical terms. The psyche never lets anything go. It never simply forgets about anything. The way to liberation lies in using and transforming the knowledge and energy bound up in every experience.
Just be present, dude. You know what I mean? Try to see everything for what it is instead of the illusion that you put over your own eyes.
What a great card, actually.
Choose to live with. Yeah, dude. That's great.
I feel like even just reading that could help liberate somebody who is unconsciously in that position.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think we create our own monsters. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to this world that isn't even what we think it is. You know what I mean? But in our imagination that we've put just jammed into our subconscious mind, and just took it as reality. And so now that is your reality. You know what I mean? And you hold on to that and you just kind of live life according to that, rather than seeing it for what it is and going, oh, that's not even real. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
most of the time, the chains that are around our neck or on our hands or on our ankles are symbolically placed there by ourselves.
yeah, absolutely.
That is our own doing.
we
Usually
accepted them in the first place.
I'm not talking
We
about
accepted
jail
them.
or prison or anything like that, obviously, but the mental shackles are things that you put there and almost self-govern yourself if you really think about it.
Because I'm sure we had the opportunity, when it presented itself, to reject it, and go, oh, no, I see that. No, thank you. That's not part of my reality, right? But like, it had to be something we accepted first, and then they became the chains that they are.
And and then you continually accept it so much that it becomes a habit to where you don't even think about accepting it anymore. And now and now you threw away the key, you feel like.
It's not even a thing to be observed anymore. It's just so like part of the fabric of your reality that you can't even displace it from everything else,
Yep.
It's just there now. Good luck finding that now. A lot of shadow work,
Dude,
I think.
the mind is the most powerful thing in the entire universe. So if anything is going to shackle you stronger and harder than anything in the entire world, it will be your own mind. Every single time. You know, because even people who are poor, even people who are in jail, people who are, home free, they don't like to be called homeless, they're home free. Even those people, if they made that decision to be put into that place, there's actually a lot of people that like, I don't know how many people, but I definitely know this to be a fact, that people that will literally commit a crime so that they can go back to jail because now they have a warm place to sleep, they have several meals per day, and it defeats the alternatives, and so even that, you can find happiness in that situation. You're not going to find happiness in a mental prison.
Right. No.
That's
not
utmost
at all,
the darkest as it possibly gets.
Yeah, that's the creator of your reality. That's how you get to see everything that you experience. You know what I mean?
100%.
It has to run through that first before you get to then experience what it is. You know?
Yeah,
It's the Matrix, dude. That is the Matrix.
Yeah, and all of it is.
Mhm.
That's the real secret.
Mhm.
So anyhow, the final card that we are talking about today is another very misunderstood card. That is the Tower. There it is. Man, such a wildly descriptive card too. Just looking at it.
It just looks negative. Like every time I look at it, I don't think I look at this and go, "Oh, no, it's okay. It's a good," like I look at it and I'm like, "Oh, fuck," you know. So maybe to me it is a bad card then, I guess, right? If it's my reality.
Like the Devil card, the Tower carries a great many meanings, and the explanations given by most tarot books indicate its surface moral lessons. The Tower is said to be the materialist conception of the universe, and the lightning, the destruction that comes to a life based on purely materialist principles. Even here, we find a great deal of subtlety. While it may appear that some outside forces strikes down the narrow-minded person, the violence shown in the card actually derives from psychological principles. The person who lives only to satisfy the ego demands of wealth, fame, and physical pleasure, ignoring both introspection and the spiritual beauty of the universe, raises a prison around himself. We see this prison as the Tower, gray, rock-bound, and with a gold crown. At the same time, a pressure builds up inside the mind as the unconscious strains at its bonds. Dreams become disturbed, arguments and depression more common, and if a person represses these manifestations as well, the unconscious will often find some way to explode. The explosion may appear as an external disaster. Your friends and family turn against you, your work collapses, and violence of one kind or another swirls around you. And it is true that one of the mysteries of life is the way that bad luck comes in clusters. Yet many of these problems result from long neglected or mishandled situations, striking us at the moment that we become vulnerable. And if some problems, illness or death of people close to us, economic problems in society, even natural disasters such as storms or lightning bolts, appear at the same time as personal problems, such coincidence shows again that life does indeed contain more than what we can see in front of us. Damn. It's funny too.
I liked how it started off talking about like the outside forces striking the narrow-minded people or something like that. It's like, because you would think that it's the outside attacking you. Everything's happening to you rather than this is what you are kind of creating for yourself because you haven't dealt with all of the things leading to that. It just seems like it's just out of nowhere. You don't think about the 6 months that you were like kind of a dipshit and like not really doing what you were supposed to be doing, what was for the better for yourself.
Yeah, which I actually think that is kind of a weird way of even looking at the story of Job in the Bible. So the devil went up to God, allegedly in this story. Devil went up to God and said that I can even turn your most like the person who worships you and loves you, most devoted person ever. And God's like, try me, bitch. And I guess gives him Job. And he's like, no matter what, this guy will be the most faithful. He's always been the most faithful. You can tempt him in whatever way you want, which is actually kind of fucked up that God would even allow that, but it's part of the myth. So the devil is like, say less, I got it. I'm going to kill his family. I'm going to take his kids. I'm going to take his wife. I'm going to take every single thing from him. I'm going to give him the most horrible life that one person could ever imagine. And surely he will lose the devotion and the faith that he has in you. And so Job goes through all these difficult things and his devotion never ends. He remains faithful in God, and it's said to be like an allegory that no matter what life throws at you, as long as you have faith, and then that's the right way to go about it. Because even Job was able to overcome the worst possible things, right? And so anyway, I think that that's kind of a weird way of looking at it through this lens, though, because
kind of backwards.
If everything badly is happening to you, you wouldn't continue to have negative things happen to you all the time if you are in oneness and in connection with God, because you'd be able to see the bigger picture to almost like stop the
bad shit from coming.
Yeah,
for sure.
So anyway, it's supposed to be an allegory anyway, but I thought it was
it's interesting. Yeah.
We should not think that the psyche or life brings on disaster simply to punish us. The drops of fire falling one each side of the tower are shaped like the Hebrew letter Yod, the first letter of God's name. Yod He Vav He. Shout out. They symbolize not anger, but grace. The universe and the human mind will not allow us to stay forever imprisoned in our towers of illusion and repression. If we cannot free ourselves peacefully, then the forces of life will arrange an explosion. I do not mean to imply that we in any way enjoy the painful experiences that shake us loose, or that we see the beneficial ends from such means, or even the process always results in freedom. Very often, a series of disasters or a period of violent emotions will cripple a once strong personality. The point is only that given no other outlets, the unconscious will erupt all around us, and that we can use this experience to find a better balance. Some decks call the card... instead of calling it the tower, they call it the house of the devil. But others call it the house of God, reminding us that it is spiritual force which destroys our psychic prisons. There is a deeper meaning in the linking of God's and the devil's houses, a meaning implied even more directly in the fact that the Hebrew word for snake bears the same numerical value and is therefore seen as equivalent to the word for Messiah. What?
I've never heard of this.
Oh, wow. Makes sense. You know, the Gnostics always said that Jesus was the snake in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So symbolically, at least, numerologically, makes sense. Mm-hmm. The devil is God's shadow.
Yeah, we know this.
In the Tower card, we saw that in Trump 15. What are we on 15 or 16 right now?
16.
16. Okay, so the devil card. So it says in Trump 15. I couldn't remember which one. But in Trump 15, we see that the person seeking unity with life must bring out the energy normally repressed by the conscious personality. By embracing the devil, however, we endanger that calm and balance shown in Temperance. We set the psyche on a violent course leading to the explosion of the tower. Carl Jung described consciousness as a dam blocking free flow of the river of the unconscious. Temperance acts as a kind of sluice. Sluice? It's like juice, but with SL in front. Never seen that. Letting the waters through at a controlled rate. The tower blows away the dam completely, releasing the locked up energy as a flood. Why take such a dangerous course? The answer is that no other way exists to finally go beyond the barrier of consciousness, or to break free from that which separates life into opposites and which cuts us off from the pure energy contained within ourselves. The veil across the temple is the conscious personality, protecting us from life itself. As mystics, shamans, and ecstatics have testified, eternity is all around us, blinding and overwhelming. The unprepared mind cannot encompass such power, and so consciousness comes to our rescue, closing off the major part of our spiritual energy, parceling experience into time and opposing categories. The mystics tell us as well that revelation comes as a lightning bolt, which destroys the illusions of the material world in a single blinding flash, like that seen by Paul on his way to Damascus. Shout out.
Of course.
I'm happy that he was mentioned in the Tower card.
Yeah. Right.
Or that which struck Buddha under the Bo tree. No matter how long the meditation, the years of prayer or occult training, the truth comes all at once or it does not come at all. Which is not to say that the preparation was meaningless. The work shown in the first two lines of the major arcana serves a double purpose. Not only does it make us strong enough to withstand the lightning when it comes, it also puts us in a position to bring about the lightning. Oh, shit. All occult practices begin with one assumption, that it is possible to call down the bolt of revelation, that a person can take definite steps to make this happen. These steps include the teaching, the meditations, the ego death, and finally, the embracing of the devil. By releasing that energy, we get past the barriers of repression and open ourselves to the lightning. For the spirit exists all the time. It is who we are. It is who we are blind to it. By going into darkness of the self, we open ourselves to the light. Obviously, this is a dangerous process. The unprepared person can become trapped in the illusions of the devil. We will also see that the release of energy carries its own dangers as the psyche tries to integrate it with the conscious awareness. The hero on the way back from the center of the labyrinth can become lost if he has not carefully prepared himself. The tower comes below the high priestess card, for it shows the veil being ripped away. At the same time, the lightning recalls the magician. That energy and truth which passes through the magician here strikes in full force. We can also see trumps 1 and 2, so that would be the magician and the high priestess. Yeah. We can also see the magician and the high priestess in the two people. One in blue, the other in a red cloak. The polarity symbolized in so many of the earlier cards is here overwhelmed by the unity of existence. Count the yod drops of fire, and you will find that they come to 22, the number of trump cards. You will find also that they are separated into 10 and 12. The Sumerians used a number system based on 10 for 10 fingers for worldly matters, but a separate system based on 12 for the zodiac for spiritual counting. This duality is also an illusion. Both worlds are manifestation of the same spirit fire. The image of the destroyed tower brings to mind the Tower of Babel. On a literal level, that story explains why people speak so many languages. While morally, it teaches us not to put faith in human abilities, the Tower of Materialism. But we can see another meaning in the Babel's destruction. The lightning that struck it was God speaking directly to humanity rather than indirectly through the ordinary phenomena of the physical world. In an instant, the speech of God replaces the human speech that built the tower. Revelation replaces the step-by-step knowledge of the senses. Remember that the descent of the Spirit at Pentecost scrambles human language. People, in quotes, speak in tongues or make animal noises. And the shamans in their trances speak the language of the beasts and the birds. Human language is an aspect of culture and a limitation of consciousness. Many linguists, most notably Benjamin Whorf, have demonstrated that our languages restrict our ability to perceive reality, like a filter over the universe.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Which
a
is
good
why
one.
it's so hard to find the words so many times. When you're trying to explain an experience or a feeling you felt within a dream or whatever mystical, spiritual type of experience, like words just don't seem to do it.
Yeah.
And now we know why.
Now we know.
You know?
And truth, the mystics tell us, cannot be expressed in words. Yeah.
Gotta go telepathic, dude. You know?
Yeah, buddy. So the tower's 16 reduces to 7, which is the chariot, linked by Case and others to human speech. The speech of God of the tower destroys in a moment all the careful constructions of culture, language, and consciousness. In so doing, it returns us to the chaos of the sea beneath the wheel of fortune and the pool of water behind the veil of the priestess. In some ways, the tower is the most complex of all the trump cards. Its more subtle meanings are at odds with its obvious ones. Like the devil, its divinatory meanings usually derive from the obvious. It usually refers to a period of violent upheaval, either literally or psychologically, the destruction of long-established situations, the breakup of relationships in anger or even violence. Because the card carries such furious significance, many people recoil at the sight of it, like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction raises the vital question of how to regard the tarot's more fearful images. We must learn to use all experience, the tower as well as the lovers. When the tower appears, it is necessary to remember that it can lead to freedom. The explosions are clearing away some situation that has built up intolerable pressure. They can lead to new beginnings. To say that the tower's appearance usually signifies difficult experience is not to insist that the deeper meanings will never arise. The card can mean a flash of enlightenment, particularly if such enlightenment replaces a limited view of life. Only the reader's intuition and experience, as well as the hints from the other cards, can indicate the specific meaning. The Tower reversed indicates a modified version of the card's meaning when the right way up. The violence and storm are still there, but milder. At the same time, the reversed Tower card carries the extra meaning of imprisonment. This paradox becomes resolved when we consider that when the right way up, the Tower liberates. So whenever it's right side up, it liberates. Other way, you're kind of shackled. When reversed, then, the card means that we do not allow ourselves to undergo the full experience. By keeping a tight control on our reactions, we lessen the pain. We also do not release all of the repressed material. Within ourselves, the painful experience continues, never having gone its full course. By shielding the Tower from the lightning, we become its prisoners.
Yeah, just stagnant, dude. Damn. Just stuck in that limbo of a potential epiphany or some type of enlightenment that could definitely transform the way you perceive everything. But now you're just kind of stuck in between that verge of that happening. You're just like, you know what I mean? Wow.
That's crazy. So you're not allowing the lightning to come and strike the Tower that needs to be taken down.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
it's not a bad card.
Right side up, It's a good one. I mean, they're both good because they tell you whatever a situation is,
highlighting the situation, right?
But if it's upside down, then that means something bad is going on within you that you're not allowing to be broken down.
Right. It has to be broken down in order to move on, get through it, to have that epiphany.
This is why
dude.
This is why we read this book, to understand the tarot at the deepest of levels, psychologically, spiritually, materially, in every way.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the thing. I was thinking about this as far as like the tarot episodes. Like personally, they're my favorite because it's so we can resonate with what these cards mean, the symbolism, what it's trying to tell you. The subconscious mind and all of the things. And I feel like, as far as people listening, if they're not like totally into tarot or they don't plan on using tarot cards, they might just like write it off and maybe they're not too interested. But there's so much here. It's all here. Like all of our human experience, whether spiritually or within the physical or within just all of the things you can think of. It's all in here.
Yeah, it's all encompassing.
As far as what we've just been covering. You know what I mean? And I know that
it's speaks to the material, the psychological, and the spiritual all at the same time. That's why you can never really take anything only at surface level. That's why we are so deeply into learning about the occult and learning about the esoteric modalities of all symbolism and everything, because everybody knows the surface level. The surface level is the most obvious, right? Yeah. Like if you take everything at face value, then sure, you're getting a facet of it. But you're not going to get the deeper, connotations of the concept. You're only taking it at face value. If you're taking it at face value, try and apply that to your life. I mean, most times you can't because they're too broad or they're too crazy or something like that, right? But if you apply it to your inner world as a symbol that it's supposed to be representing, now you can learn something from it.
Right. And I know that, as I was going to try to say before, I feel like people are going to hear some of the buzzwords just in this episode, like the devil. You know what I mean? As soon as they hear that, they're like, no. This is evil stuff. You're missing it, dude. Like, you're missing the point. You're missing what it really means. I know that there's people out there that really believe that the devil is his own individual entity. Like, he's out there just stewing, figuring out how he's going to fuck with you. And it's like, no, that's not what this is. You know what I mean? The devil is really the shadow aspect of yourself, the things that you haven't dealt with just in your own temple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the tower coming down, it's like it's your temple coming down because you haven't given yourself the time and the energy to have the epiphany to overcome certain aspects of what you're going through right now. So if you don't do that, then it's upside down and now you're just stagnant. Like there's so much here that you could use for your life. But I know some people are just going to be like, nah, I don't get down with the tarot. It's like, well, That's
You know
fine.
what? You know what's so funny too is that typically, whenever somebody is really in touch with their emotional feelings, they're just called emotional, and oh well, you're just emotional. You just feel it a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
And then on the exact opposite side, you'll have what is called a psychopath who shows no emotion, who feels
Yeah.
nothing, and
Mhm.
and they're both seen as like crazy a little bit, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously a psychopath takes it a little bit farther to an extent, but the
Right.
emotional person is also seen as somebody who is like, they're making a bigger deal out of it than what it actually is.
They're weak, you know. Like,
Right. But
yeah.
it is interesting how somebody can feel things all the way, like 100%, and some people can feel it 0%. It just goes
Right.
to show that all of reality exists inside you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's all inside you. So if somebody's mom gets run over by a car, if a psychopath's mom gets run over by a car, they're gonna be like, it's it's another fucking thing, right?
Right.
If a super empath, their mom gets run over, they're wrecked for years probably,
Oh yeah.
right?
For most of their life. Yeah.
But usually it's the middle path that is the right way to go. The
Mhm.
middle path that is far from both extremes. Not to say
Right.
that an empath is a bad person, not even to say that a psychopath is inherently a bad person. It's
No.
just their view of the world and how they interpret it internally.
How they filter the outside world. Yeah,
Yes.
that middle path gives you the awareness, the ability, the pause to choose what deserves you to be emotional and deserves your energy and deserves your effort, really, and instead of just putting your effort into everything or not putting effort into anything at all, it's just like you have the awareness to kind of bob and weave the things that need attention.
Just reminds me of that song, Chickadee China of the Chinese Chicken. Remember that one? He
Yeah.
goes, I'm the kind of guy laughs at a funeral, can't understand what I
Yeah.
mean. Well, you soon will. It's just like that. It's
Yeah.
like, these are
Uh-huh.
just things, and it's all based on your interpretation of it. Everything
it.
is.
That's it, dude. That's your reality.
Yeah, dude. Damn. We went
So good.
I feel like we went super deep. Thank you, Optimistic, for guiding us here, brother.
Man, no shit, dude. Yeah, this episode was supposed to happen, man. Exactly the way it was supposed to. Every time we have a tarot episode, I'm like, I get a little excited because I know there's going to be so many little deep little things, little nuance that we can go, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think everybody that listens to it is going to understand that as well. Hopefully.
Look, these
I'm
things,
sure some people might hear the devil word and go, no. But I hope that people really try to at least understand what this book is trying to say.
these things aren't meant to be evil. They're meant to help you unlock something within your own consciousness, within your own unconsciousness, within you, all that is you. There's symbols. Your mind speaks in symbols. Your mind interprets things in symbols. Even whenever you dream, you might see something that doesn't make any logical, physical sense, but then you go and interpret it. What are you interpreting? The fucking symbols of it, because that's how your mind speaks to you,
Yep. Exactly, dude. Yeah, man, it's all subjective, man. That's all it
Well,
is.
I will say that actually the next episode, we're going to be finishing up all of the major arcana.
Sweet.
Well, the next
Good
tarot
shit.
episode. So
All right.
rounding out the major arcana, the first one will be the star. The next one is the moon. The one after that is the sun card. Actually, that's going to be kind of a longer episode, which I'm here for. Then you have the judgment card, and then obviously followed by the world. So we're going to read 5.
right.
It might be a 3-hour episode, but
I'm really looking forward to that judgment card for some reason. I don't know why, but I just feel like that's going to be a banger.
yeah, I think so too. Which actually, it's only 20 pages. I mean, that's all we just read was 20 pages. So maybe it'll be about the
Oh.
same length then.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Cool.
Speaking of tarot cards, I have a tarot card pulled, and it's very interesting because this card was brought up just recently, and we got the High Priestess.
Oh,
So,
shout out to your lady.
Yeah, dude, it's very fascinating. The veil, and the two pillars, and it's like, what's beyond the veil? We don't know. You know what I mean? And just so symbolic right now.
Yeah, Boaz and Joaquin with the black pillar and the white pillar. Yeah,
Mhm.
crazy. So the High Priestess, it is the second mark on the fool's journey. The high priestess, like the moon, sees through the darkness, illuminating what is hidden, reminding us that all we need to know is already within us. Seated between two columns, one light and one dark, the high priestess represents the balance that exists naturally in our dual natures. Her headdress evokes the waxing, full, and waning phases of the moon, symbolizing the progression of seasons of a woman's life from maiden to mother to wise crone. Oh, I never noticed that. How about that? The religious icons she wears. Yeah, the religious icons she wears and holds includes the cross and the Torah, which reflect the popular beliefs of the time period during which the deck was created, but are also symbolic of the high priestess's devotion to her spiritual practice. Behind her hangs a tapestry covered with pomegranates, symbols of fertility and feminine energy, that obstruct her view of the water, representing emotions. The crescent moon at her feet symbolizes her connection to lunar power and intuition. Although the high priestess has her back to the water, she does not need to see it with her eyes. She is connected to her emotions from within. So the upright key meanings are intuition and self-knowledge. How about that?
Perfect, man. Pretty much spot on with what we were trying to get across here.
That's what we're trying to do. You know, you're trying to illuminate these hidden symbols and hidden meanings of that appear all over the world, but also in your mind and on a daily basis, whether you know it or not. Just watch the Super Bowl. So many people think that the Super Bowl is satanic. I'm like, just because it has symbolism doesn't mean it's satanic, bro.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it's all, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
it might be Illuminati.
Yeah.
But the spiritual message, it says, go within to connect to your divine guidance, since strengthening your intuition deepens your spiritual practice. Trust yourself and follow your intuition, even if it leads, even if where it leads you might not make logical sense at first.
Yep.
Wow.
Even if it leads you somewhere that you're like, wait a minute, what is this? You know? And then you're like, oh, there was a lesson here. You know what I mean? And then you come back stronger even still. Like, just like the tarot cards, everything that you're experiencing doesn't have to be inherently bad. You know? It's just, it might not seem preferable in the moment. Just like a bad trip, it's definitely not preferable in the moment, but you come out of it stronger. You know? And man, we've had a lot of experiences in our lives, you know, that have seemed so shitty. But like looking back at it, it's like, oh, well, I mean, I am the person I am now because of all of those things. You know, there'd be nothing to be said had you not gone through those things. And so, yeah, dude, it's that's what makes this life beautiful, you know, that and knowing that eventually at some point it comes to an end, you know. And so like, it's like time is of the essence almost, you know what I'm saying? Like make it worth it. So,
well, it has to be,
dude.
you know, that's why we're here to experience time, because time shows, you know, the importance of valuing every single moment. Because if it wasn't for time, then maybe you wouldn't value the moment as much, because you know that it's never ending. It's always, you're always going to have it.
Yeah, dude. It's so interesting how much you can change your outside world just by changing your inside world. You know, like it could sound woo-woo, man, but I'm telling you right now, dude, just the amount of, I heard this one comedian, he was like, so I went to my therapist and he said I should just try to be grateful or something like that, be a little more grateful. And, you know, it pisses me off because it worked. You know what I mean? It's like, it really, you know, changed everything. It's like, once you feel so complete, even just where you are, like, okay, everything's fine. You know what I mean? Everything else is just a bonus, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's like if you go somewhere to get something to eat and they're like, hey, you know, we made an extra thing of chili cheese fries. You guys want it? Like, we're not going to throw it out. Like that's what it's like, you know, when you just feel so much more grateful for what you already have. Everything else is just that extra thing of chili cheese fries. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
in that
dude.
sense, that just shows the importance, at least in the older occult world. I mean, a lot of people are still doing it nowadays, as the book said, through psychedelics. The absolute, like, legit meaning and reason why going through or simulating a death process is vitally important. You know, because you take things for granted because you've always had things. You know, you've always had this life, you've always had people around you, you've always had opportunities, and a lot of people squander it, right? But it's not until you realize, I mean, everybody knows that death is inevitable. Everybody knows that. But I think that we don't think about it as much as we should. No. And if because you don't even know what context to put it in, you don't remember what it means to be dead until you go through one of those kind of experiences, maybe a near-death experience or psychedelic use, or go through some kind of death ritual with which emulates and simulates death. Right. You don't understand the amount that it helps in every single moment of life in general. And so and so all of these people, they all think, not all these people, there's a lot of people out there that look at the occult as if it's all bad, it's all evil, it's all satanic, and you know, if it was that good, then everybody should be learning it. The problem is that everybody could learn it. We have the internet, we have books, everything is available right at your fingertips, and everybody, for the most part, is literate enough to read. It's just that they would much rather stay within their own understanding that it's all evil, that it's all satanic, and that it's all bad and wrong, and that these are all influences of the devil to understand. And you know, all you're trying to do is just you're basically, you know, emulating what Eve was doing with the apple. You're just trying to understand, you know, good and evil, and it's like, yeah, I am actually. Like, I do want to know everything. I want to know as much as I possibly can, because I think that without that just thirst for the quest of knowledge and understanding and wisdom, you are subject to believing in what others have bestowed upon you without your own experience. And what good is that? Now you're just living as though you were somebody else. You know, take your own path, dude. That's what it's really all about. Get to know yourself. And whenever you get to know yourself, the fears of the world start to dissipate.
Yeah, dude. And like I said, and going back to what we said earlier, for those who don't want to expand their awareness and really try to understand the deeper meaning of it, ultimately it's just consciousness trying to experience itself in infinite ways anyways. And so, you know what I'm saying? And those, you know, people are supposed to experience that. You know, if that's what they choose, then that's what their path is. And that's totally fine. You know what I mean? But, you know.
Yeah. I thought that it was really interesting. So whenever we did the Jesus versus Paul episode, I swear I didn't plan it to be this way, but it was episode 316. And a lot of Christians, they'll always quote John 3:16. That's where Stone Cold came up with Stone Cold 3:16 and Austin 3:16. Because there was
what's that passage?
So the passage is, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life."
Okay.
So that's just, you know, all you got to do is believe, and now you're not going to perish, you're going to have eternal life. That whole deal, right?
Okay.
And so it was funny, even whenever Stone Cold said it, like where he even came up with that catchphrase, it happened by accident. It wasn't even planned. But, you know, back in the early 90s of wrestling, in the 80s and stuff like that, they just said whatever they thought would get a rise out of people. It wasn't scripted so much, right? But he was talking to some Christian guy, and who I guess always talks about his faith. I can't remember who he was talking to, but he goes, "Here you are, and all you talk about is John 3:16. Well, Austin 3:16 just came in here and said, I just whipped your ass." And it was just like, and that's where Austin 3:16 was born, right?
Oh, shit.
And so... yeah, I thought that it was kind of funny that we did the Jesus versus Paul episode on episode 316. And then even leading to, like, even more symbolically, in a strange way, that Optimistic Banks episode was episode 321.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy? I know.
3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Let go.
Yep.
That gave me chills, dude. Oh my God.
I know.
It's too much, dude. Like, I'm telling you, today is just never. I need to go to sleep, dude. This is. I need to see what my subconscious got to say about it, you know?
Oh, man.
Oh, so good. Ultimately, it's all my subconscious. You know what I mean? Everything that I've experienced today, it's just revealing itself in the physical world that I am surrounded by.
Well, I mean, hey, dude, I can tell that you definitely do not have the tower card turned upside down, my good sir. You are allowing that
appreciate that.
thunderbolt to come in, and you're not
Yeah.
trying to block it. And
Yep.
that's
Yeah,
all.
dude.
That's all it's been.
Yeah, man, this was a fun one, man. You know, it was really
Yeah.
fun. Something just so resonant about it. Of course, it is. It's just the symbols of the subconscious mind, dude. Like it's us. Of
That's
course,
it.
it's gonna resonate. You know.
Yeah, dude. So awesome. I just love looking into all of the occult meanings and all the symbolic meanings. So good. So, yeah, look, if you guys want to be able to support the show, we would really appreciate it if you went over to patreon.com/metamystics. That link is down in the show notes below. It's the best way to be able to support us. And we have several different tiers over there. But if you sign up for the Wonder Wednesday tier, that'll give you access to all the shows in advance, completely commercial free, and you'll be able to slide into our DMs. You'll be able to watch all the videos of everything, become part of the community. We used to call you the one. We still might slip up and call you the one, but now you are the initiates, because we are initiating ourselves, and we're not even the ones initiating you. We are just as mind blown whenever we read some of this stuff as you are. So it's all one giant journey, and we hope that you join us with it. And if you don't want to go over to Patreon, then, leave us a review, leave us 5 stars, whether you're listening to Apple or Spotify. It really helps push the algorithm to other people who may want to become initiated like yourself. That being said, we're going to get over to the meditation, but before we do, if death, temperance, the devil, and the tower card came here and they taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
I actually really like that one.
I did too. It was interesting because in the beginning, the way that the tone varied, like almost immediately, it went from one thing and it changed. It was almost gave me the sensation of like, oh, I'm leaving this familiar thing and I'm slowly getting farther and farther away from that. And it's like it could be scary. And so that tone change was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And I had so many different thoughts and different things. It would be impossible to really even go into most of it. But I just feel I wanted to say just how grateful I am. You know what I mean? For you, for the one, for my wife, for just I'm so grateful for this life is so fucking awesome, dude. And I didn't always think that way. You know what I
Me
mean?
neither.
Like not too much has changed as far as like the physical things that I have. Like I got my wife and my kids and all of that has been the same, but yet my life is so much better.
Your
was
interpretation of
2
that
years
has
ago.
grown.
Yeah, the way that I perceive things, the way I understand things, the way I can't even tell you how many times I probably avoided a bad situation at work just because I understood certain things. Not just about like the occult and all that, but just about myself, and just about other people around me, just understanding how kind of certain people are and like how not to push a button. Like I know what buttons I could push if I wanted to, but like, just the way, just knowing how someone is like my boss, for example, like there's some days where he's just like super cool and super like, hey, anything you need, just let me know, blah, blah, blah. And when he's like stressed out and he's like under the gun, all of a sudden it's like you can't talk to him. You know what I mean? You just got to like stay out of the fucking way or not even be seen really, And there was a situation where I had to get some keys and he's like, no, I already told such and such about these keys that I already looked and they're not there. And so instead of going, well, no, I'm on the phone with the guy. He said they're in there. Let me go and look, because I know how he is when he gets like that. I was just like, okay. And just like left it alone because I already knew if I would have pressed that issue, it could have became a thing. It would have become a thing. And like
a lot of people make a game
like
out of that, which is really annoying.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And like just understanding certain things, it was like there are so many things that happened just today that that could have gone wrong and could have became an issue. Could have became, maybe I would have got angry because I'm like, well, no, you know what I mean? It could have just turned out so differently, but just because I'm aware and I'm like constantly trying to be present and trying to be totally, I don't want to say I'm always, trying to, what's the word? Interpret every situation, but like, I think it's just happening that way without any effort. It's just a constant understanding of what's going on around me all the
Being
time.
present.
Just being super present, dude. And that's really all it is. And man, I'm just saying, like in the last 2 years, I think I'm a totally different person, you know, like for sure. And then there's so much more to go. You know, this is just like the tip of the iceberg, I think,
Oh
as
yeah.
far as what's possible, the potential.
Yeah, give it a couple
And,
more years, we're just gonna be not even sitting on seats
dude,
anymore. You know,
dude, just ascending. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I just wanted to just say how grateful I am for that, man, because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I still don't. But I know a little more than I did, and
hey,
I think a lot of it has to do with this show, the people we've talked to, the one. I mean, just every experience and interaction I have in life, and it's just all encompassing, man. You know, and yeah, just understanding that instead of trying to separate everything all the time and compartmentalize, and like it's all just one big experience. And yeah, man, that was a good meditation.
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, so I had, I was actually trying to go visual with it so that I could almost be on that boat ride and see what curiosities and what sensations and what thoughts that would come once I like forgot that I was pretending to do it, you know? And so I was really trying to immerse myself deep into it. So I'm imagining, the man almost looks like a dead hermit that is the one that's guiding you,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting in the back of the boat, and I can almost feel the waves, because I'm sure it's not, a speedboat or something like that to the underworld, but
Right.
that's kind of what it sounded like. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I see a motor in the back, and just with one little propeller on it.
Right.
And I'm looking back, and as I'm looking back, I can see the light at the dock growing fainter and fainter and fainter as I'm moving on, and I can see the ripples of the waves as I'm looking backward, going outward, and every couple of seconds you're just getting farther and farther away from the dock. And I started thinking about the symbolism of the light at the dock, and then the symbolism that the guy of the boat holding the lantern as well. And I was thinking, okay, well, if we're to interpret that symbolically, just the symbols in my own mind, and it really reminded me of that show, the His Dark Materials, whenever they went and did it, right? And they're crossing that the river Styx. And so in the show, they have instead of them having like higher selves or guardian angels or something like that, they have demons, right?
Okay.
They're daemons or whatever, right? And they have their demons, and their demons represent their spirit. Like it's a manifestation of their spirit. And a lot of times it's an animal, and it's usually kind of funny and has its own little quirks and everything, but it's the easygoing, don't worry about it kind of spirit, And so it's really a cool way of interpreting, your spirit self. And but so she goes to the dock and she's going to the underworld, but she hasn't died yet. She's kind of like backdooring it. But even whenever she gets to the dock, the guy that's steering the boat, he's like, yeah, you can't bring your demon with you. And she's like, what? We've never been separated. Like, you can't separate. And usually if you separate from your demon, you die. That's usually what that means.
No, yeah, makes sense.
But the guy was like, yeah, you can't bring that demon with you. And so, they got real sad and everything, but the demon had to stay. So the spirit had to stay because you're going into the underworld, right? And so I imagine that looking back at that light at the dock, that's almost like my spirit that I'm leaving behind, because obviously the spirit doesn't descend into the underworld. It goes back up to the higher realms of which it's always inhabiting, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's just me on that boat. And so the guy that is holding the lantern, I'm trying to figure out like what that symbolizes. And usually, like literally it is to light the path so that he can see where he's going, right? but it's almost like a Grim Reaper type of situation. Everybody looks at the Grim Reaper as if it's like some dark, scary thing, but that is literally your guide to the other side. You wouldn't know where to go if it wasn't for that, right? And
you'd be lost.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of interpreting as, you know, his light as the wisdom and the way to show me, to bring me to the other side so that I'm not alone, and in that sense. So then at that time you kind of become grateful for the guy that is steering the boat, you know, and you're like, all right, so I'm not alone. I you know, there's more than just me out there, and
you're not just in the void, terrified.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, you're here. Okay, you know where you're going. It looks like
completely lost and chaotic otherwise, right?
Right.
And so, and then, so after a while, once I kind of got that in my own mind, I was just like imagining I'm sitting in the back of the boat and I'm feeling the waves and everything, and I'm just going into this super deep meditation. And it hasn't happened in a long time, but I finally was able to get back up to the treehouse in my mind, right? To where I almost forgot that I was even meditating. Like I forgot that I even had a body. I was just existing in the peaceful calmness of the nothingness of the void almost, right? And there was just a super sense of peace that came with that. And it just goes to show like how valuable meditation is, because no matter what is going on in your life, you always have meditation. There's never a time where you don't have meditation. You know, you can always take a bathroom break, you know, go take, I don't know, tell somebody you're taking a shit or something like that, and just go into the bathroom at work and, oh, my stomach's really bothering me. Just, you know, lie about it a little bit and go in there for a 10 or 15 minute meditation. Right. And your work day is not going to suck as much as it was.
Oh, it's definitely going to take the edge off. You know, maybe you still don't want to be there, but at least the time that you are there, it's like a little more calm. You got a little more of that temperance to you, you know?
Yeah, it's like it is the ultimate version of a smoke break, I think.
No shit, dude. Bring the pulse rate down, you know, just a touch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So yeah, man, the river Styx. What a great meditation. Who would have thought?
I'm gonna have to check out that show, dude. It sounds really interesting. I might have to, and like I said, I have not been purposely avoiding it. I just, you know, there's been so many things going on all at once, everywhere all at once. But yeah, I'll definitely have to start that show, dude. You know?
Really cool.
I always feel guilty watching a really cool show without my wife, you know, but I feel like she might be okay with me watching this one.
She'll probably dig it. Yeah, it has the guy in there. You ever seen that movie Splice?
Yeah.
The main guy, he was also young Professor X.
Yeah.
That guy, he's one of the main characters. And the other main character was it like X-13? If you ever seen Logan, the old man Logan, which Wolverine, right? There was X-13, the little girl that had the blades on the feet. Yeah. She's the main character.
Oh, okay.
And so it's actually really fucking awesome. It's such a good show.
How many seasons is there?
I want to say 3 or is it just like 3 or 4, I think.
Oh, okay. It's pretty solid then.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I'll check it out for sure.
Really, really good.
Definitely. Yeah, that was dude, that was such a good episode, man. Really. Like, really and truly, I needed that episode.
Me too.
Yesterday, I was just in a funk. I mean, rightfully so, man. You know, I you know, something like that. You gotta at least go through that and experience it. And you know, it was not great, but starting to transmute it, dude, and really try to be at peace with it, and as we all should try to be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think so too. So, anyhow, the one, we love you, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Imagine what would have happened if we hadn't attracted the magic we had back when we couldn't fathom. Life is a fantasy, not with the vanity, not the way it was back then. So I grab my pen and write it down like a scripture. Mr. Mystic, making hits for the misfits. The show where you don't know what you don't know when it's on again with Sean and Jonathan. Yeah.